going on, everybody? Welcome to another Friday, episode 161 of Heavy Metallurgy. Hope you're doing well. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm Marty. Good to see you. And this other guy over here, definitely the prettier of the two of us, and the smartest. So, Alan, how you doing, my friend? How you doing?
You make me blush. I'm doing pretty good. It's kind of a busy week, but just little stuff and doing all the little things here and there. So keeping busy, but not having to tackle any gigantic projects this time around. Hello to everybody in the chat. Lots of regulars showing up. Always good to see you folks. Hello to Matt, just joined. Sunday, Jack, good to see you. Low Noise, Frosty. I've got the chat up and running again. I had trouble with it a week or two ago, but that seems to be behind me. So I'll try to keep up with folks in the chat as much as I can. Marty, what have you been up to this week?
You know, stuff I should have been getting done, but I didn't. Doing other things. Work a little bit here and there. Nothing too serious. Anybody needs any t-shirts printed, hit your boy up. Just stuff around the house. Running family around, doing things. That's been about it. So, getting mail order caught up. So if you've been waiting for something from Bindern for a while, I have 3 orders in my queue. So it's been a long slog. I've been behind, so all caught up. It feels good. It feels good to have that happen. So
good deal.
But yeah, I guess before we bring our guests out, we've been talking about doing mentioning new releases, where we've been a little hit or miss with that. So
we're starting to get in the groove with it.
I'm getting in the groove with it. We'll pull that up now. So some new releases on Friday, the 30th of May, 2024. We've got Exodus, British Disaster, The Battle of 1989, live at the Astoria on Nuclear Blast. Hellbutcher is the name of it, on Metal Blade. That's a couple of the dudes from Niflheim.
Right.
Yep. We have 2 reissues from Psychotic Waltz. We've got Bleeding and A Social Grace reissues. Yep. On Inside Out. Rhapsody of Fires put out their 73rd album called Challenge the Wind on AFM. Thou, Umbilical on Sacred Bones.
Logan was just asking about that one. Yep.
Tier Best of the Napalm Years on Napalm Records, which I'm hoping to shoot my review this weekend with the new tier. So for the 4 of you that were waiting for that, your boy got you covered. Witherfall, Sounds of the Forgotten on Deathwave. And the one I'm the most excited of on the list is Wormwood, The Star on Black Lodge, the latest Wormwood. I'm kind of a big fan of that band. They're Swedish, on the outside of Stockholm, sort of post-black metal type of thing. Really good stuff. So yeah, that's what I have for new releases. What do you have, Alan?
A few others that to add to the list. Let's see. No Remorse Records is putting out a new anthology by Mendes Prey, which was an excellent new wave of British heavy metal band. I did a video about this over on Let's Talk Metal on Tuesday. So if you want to hear a few clips and learn more about the band, you can check that out. But really nice compilation they've got coming out. One of the big ones for today is the Black Sabbath Anno Domini box set, which has 4 of the Tony Martin era albums. I'm planning to pick that up tomorrow when I head to the record store. They're supposed to be holding a copy for me. It's got all the Tony Martin albums except for Eternal Idol. So you get the other 4 with Tony Martin in the box, which is pretty nice because those have been out of print for a long time. Let's see. Van Records, really good label out of Germany that we talk about a lot, has 2 releases today. The new Artisphere Liftsins, extremely good Viking metal kind of band. I'm thinking Kellen is probably going to review that on Heavy Metallurgy pretty soon. And Van also released the new one by the Omega Swarm today. And just as a heads up, if you're interested in some of the Van stuff, it can be expensive to order. There's not a lot of U.S. distribution, and overseas shipping, of course, is pretty insane. But Van is one of the few European labels I've noticed that has really good prices on Bandcamp. So if you want to check some of these out and you're on a budget, a lot of the Van new releases are like $3 for the whole album to download, purchase on Bandcamp. So yeah, if you're on a budget and don't want to, pay, $26 in shipping to get one album from Germany, Bandcamp actually is really nice. They're really good at keeping their prices under control. A few others. We have a new one from Cloven Hoof, old school new wave of British heavy metal band still going. French speed metal legends ADX have a new album out as
Wow.
well.
been
Yeah,
around
they're still
forever.
going. I was surprised to see them on the list also. But yeah, so a pretty good chunk of stuff that's come out today. Last week or two have been a little more quiet, but a lot of bands looks like they decided to kind of load up here at the end of May. So there's some stuff. If you were saving money, we're very, very sorry, but now you know what to go shopping for this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, now we've got some gentlemen waiting in the back that we should get on out here. Marty, would you do the
Absolutely.
honors, please?
Yep. Real quick though, cheers to Logan. How you doing? Jack Half a Prayer, James Warrior, Michael Hudson, George G. Good to see you, man. Old Head SC. Hello. Moonshine Talking. Jason. Skills. What's up? Tony. Good to see everybody tonight. Seriously. Some new faces, a lot of old faces. Good to see you, but let's get some other new faces in here. We got Patrick from Heavy Therapy. Welcome.
Hey,
First time here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And of course, another old head an old metallurgist to our group. What's up, Dreadful Rick? Welcome.
Who are you
back.
calling old?
1,
That
2,
would be
3,
you.
not it. Yeah.
What's up, guys? It's cool to see Patrick again. We ran when did we meet up? That was at a show. I think it was.
So we met up at the horrendous Outer Heaven show in Philadelphia, where you live. Yep, just about 5 months ago. Awesome show. It was cool to
in my
meet
neck
you.
of the woods.
Yeah.
I was like, hell yeah, man! It was cool to meet you and your partner. It was a good time. Jeff came down.
Yeah, Jeff was there.
Awesome. Well, we all know Dreadful Rick, but Patrick's a new guy on the block tonight. And for those of you who may not be too well known about Heavy Therapy, links in the description. Go check them out. And Patrick,
Yeah.
what's going on with the channel? What for those in the heavy metallurgy universe that may not be familiar with what you do, what's going on
Sure.
over at Heavy Therapy?
Yeah. So thanks again for having me on here. So I like this perfect storm of events kind of happened around 2020. I found all your channels, Metal Miners, Melanie Loves Death Metal, Uncle Ken's, Death Metal Crypt, and that was like when I was finishing grad school, so I had more time to get back into collecting physical media, get back into checking out a lot more new releases, and I just thought this YouTube community seemed really nice and fun, and so I wanted to join. So I did. So yeah, I started my channel around 2021. I think I have over 400 followers now. I try to put out around 2 or 3 videos a month. So always collection updates, sometimes reviews, sometimes I do contest entries. I do top favorite list. I do year-end list. I'm working on, I'll save that for the end. But yeah, so my channel is called Heavy Therapy. I'm Patrick, and I'm happy to be here.
One thing I noticed is
aboard.
good to have you aboard, and you do cover a lot of death metal.
Oh yeah, so yeah, my favorites tend to be death metal, black metal, grindcore. I try to get into different subgenres. I like a lot of stuff, but yeah, my favorite subgenres are death metal and black metal, as you'll see tonight.
Right on.
Good deal. And for anybody the link to Patrick's channel's in the show notes, but if you're just typing it into YouTube, just type Heavy Therapy as one word. If you type it as 2 separate words, it's much harder to find the link to it. But if
You
just
can't
type
find the link to it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you find heavy, you just type Heavy Therapy with no spaces.
I usually
at all.
type in Heavy Therapy for other reasons, but yeah, for Patrick's channel.
Yeah, I didn't maximize search results and algorithms. I just was like, that's the title, that's the name I wanted,
No, it's all good. I just want to make sure folks
Yeah,
knew that,
appreciate
because
that.
I had tried that at one point, and because there's a very old channel called Heavy Metal Therapy, but that one has only posted like a handful of videos, nothing in like a year or two. So
Right.
that's not Patrick's channel. You don't want that one. You're looking for Heavy Therapy, all one word.
Yeah, I'm also on Twitter at the same name. That actually is kind of where I started my sort of social media presence, and there's actually a pretty
Okay.
cool metal Twitter community. So
Cool.
I would recommend checking out Twitter as well. Yeah.
I couldn't get Twitter. I couldn't figure it out. I had it. I would run like stuff for the label through it, and I'm just like, no one cares. I don't know.
Well, that's how you know we're old. We still call it Twitter. These kids call
Yeah.
it X.
Oh
or
yeah, I
something.
forgot.
I don't know.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, X.
X, formerly known as Twitter. Great branding there, Elon.
But Rick, we haven't seen you in a couple minutes. What's been going on over at
A couple of dreadful minutes.
the Dreadful Dungeon over there?
It is a dreadful dungeon. I killed a few spiders, and it's not just
You're
for
so
show.
brave. So brave.
The webs are real, No, I'm slowing things down. There's things going on in my personal life, but I don't forget you guys. And I will share something really quick here that I brought that's kind of related. But in the meantime, Alan was and you guys were talking about new releases. So right before, I had computer issues, and I looked at my doorstep. This guy shows up, and it's like talking to town. And on the weekend, it's just going to be all. And I saw Jurgen. Jurgen put on something, right?
Yep.
Yep.
I haven't watched it, but I'm looking forward to that. But we all really bought this for Forbidden, right? Crickets.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
This was their clever way to actually get people to buy Forbidden. Is like they'll buy it for the other 3 albums, and they'll take Forbidden, and they don't have to like it, but they have to take it.
It still irks me. I'm a little. I got a Blu-ray like Tim Burton set, and it's missing Edward Scissorhands. So I'm already just and you're gonna. It doesn't feel complete.
Wonder why they didn't include it, unless they just reissued it not too long ago. I don't know.
Edward Scissorhands?
No, I'm talking about Eternal Idol.
Idol. Yeah, I know.
That one,
and I have it on
had some
tape
reissues.
and CD. I don't have it on vinyl, but it would have been great if it was part of the box set.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but that one has had some legit reissues, whereas the other 4 haven't. So that's the only thing I could think of why they left it out.
Oh man,
Either that, they're just being cheap.
Yeah. Remastered Forbidden still sucks. I've got Headless Crossing tier now, though. Yeah. Forbidden's a tough sell. It's a tough sell.
And
But
in cross purposes, at least half the songs on cross purposes are really good too.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's more than enough good stuff in the box to justify having to buy a copy of Forbidden.
right.
And even to be fair, even Forbidden has some fans out there. There are some folks that dig that album.
yeah. I saw that interview with Tony and just talking about Ernie C. Like, what were we thinking? Like great guy, but he's just not the right guy for this. He just irks the whole time.
Yeah,
Talking about
one of the funniest moments for Heavy Metallurgy was when we were talking about Black Sabbath with King Fowley, and that issue came up. And King's hypothesis on the situation was that Sabbath wasn't incredibly popular at the time, and he figured there was a board meeting somewhere where folks said, we got to turn this ship around. This is an emergency, and somebody must have thought he said, we got to turn the ship around. Call Ernie C.
Yeah.
I still laugh my ass off about that sometimes when I think of it randomly, because it is about the only practical answer to why they would have done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I have quite a stack of stuff here, so we should maybe get the show on the road. We're to those
It's time to see what's spinning.
Yeah, new to this, Patrick. We're just gonna show one at a time, talk about it, and go to the next. So you're the newest here, so you have the honors to go
Sounds
first.
good. All right. So Van Records was already mentioned as far as putting out some new releases this week. Been spinning the Zeratis record called In the Days of Horror. This is like a Greek black metal band. It actually features members from Verathron. I think it's the vocalist from Verathron.
Oh, Necro Abyssos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually has a cool, I'll probably be bad at this, but cool gatefold. So lots of the black metal is kind of, so there's organic production. The black metal is kind of straightforward and simple, but there's a lot of different like horror sounding synth and a lot of piano in this. Glockenspiel is on the last track. I have to kind of focus on it to get all of the details. I can't just kind of put it on. It kind of does wash over me, but yeah, so it's quite melodic. I hear a little bit of Behemoth as well in sort of the spoken word sections, some Rotting Christ. So there's some cool tremolo picking that I really enjoy on this album. Pretty cool. I think this came out in 2021. Van Records. They're from Greece, and if you like the Verathron style Greek black metal, I think you'll dig it.
Right on. Never even seen or heard of it. We're going to get that a lot tonight. But between Patrick and Rick, there'll be like what? Where'd this come from? Yeah.
Looking forward to something, you guys.
Yeah, Van's catalog isn't a lot of those bands are not household names, but
Right.
they rarely release something that isn't high quality. You hear it and it's just like, yeah, that's just another really good band on their roster. So yeah, I'll keep that one in mind for sure.
Yeah, and their packaging is always really nice as
Oh,
well.
top
Good
of the
point,
line.
Patrick. Yeah.
All right, Rick. Where are you
Um,
starting off at tonight?
What to begin with? So I decided tonight I'm gonna have some wine, right? So I got this like Jersey Devil Blueberry Forte.
Mm.
It's got some cool art. Did you know Jersey had a devil? Not talk about the hockey team, you know.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, the old
crypto.
cryptozoological
Yeah.
critter.
Sometimes I mistake them from politicians, but that's another conversation. No, but you know, Sunshine Ward, it's based in New Jersey. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey guy through and through. And what new release they got actually came out late 2023. It's an EP called Gurzy Doleful. Yeah, weird name. Gee, so I'm already stumping you already. Here we go. It's just an EP, and you'll get it real quick. It's like 16 minutes, and it's pretty much just like a clique of these guys in I guess they're all running that same circle. And if you know a band called Open Grave, it's very early kind of US black metal. They kind of been around for quite a while. So one of the members are in this. A guy from another group called SYN Sign, and it's just cool, like just straightforward Jersey black metal. Sunshine Ward is a lot of cool stuff. I wasn't even gonna pull this out tonight, but because I had this wine, I go, holy shit, I do have a Jersey Devil related black metal thing going on here. So it's pretty cool that someone made a theme around it. So I'm gonna be pouring this and giving this another spin for the weekend. But yeah, I wouldn't expect anybody to have heard of it, but it's a new release. It's kind of cool, and it's just part of this sound. I noticed it has a sort of if you like Krieg and that kind of stuff, you know, it has a very specific kind of regional black metal kind of feel and sound, and this is one of those kind of releases. So I'm gonna just pour to that.
There you go.
I'll write it in the comments here.
Right.
It's a very odd one.
Huh. Cool. All right, Alan.
Well, let's see. I thought I'd start with a couple of things that folks had recommended to me in the not so distant past that have been back in my playlist. First band up is a band Rick recommended to me quite a while back, and I've enjoyed their stuff. It's Abysmal Grief. So we'll start with some Italian doom metal. This is their 2021 album called Funeral Cult of Personality, which is just cheesy enough to be really fun and kind of cool as a title. You don't have to guess what this band's going for in their doom style when you look at, you know, their covers and stuff, you know, the very kind of, you know, grand, morbid, you know, perverted priest. This is an earlier album from the same band, Venetre. Lots of Italian horror tropes and themes. They tend to use like a lot of, you know, keyboards, kind of, you know, big organ sounds that makes it, you know, sound very ghoulish. And, you know, somebody that's not into the style would probably say it's slightly campy. And okay, if you're not into it, that would be a valid take. But if you like this style, you know, the vocals are very deep and kind of, you know, spooky sounding usually. But they actually do very good songwriting in this style. And I've really enjoyed this album in particular. Like I said, this one's from 2021. And, you know, compared to some of the earlier stuff I've heard, it sounds like, I mean, they've you know, cleaned up their sound just a little bit. This one doesn't sound quite as cartoonish as some of the others. So you just get a little bit more of, you know, a straightforward, good Italian, you know, kind of gothic, creepy doom metal vibe without, you know, quite as much cheese packed into the corners of it here and there. So yeah, a cool band. Their stuff doesn't seem to get distributed in the US very much. So if you stumble across it for a decent price and you like Italian doom weirdness, don't hesitate to pick it up because they can be a little bit of a pain to find. But that's one I've been playing again recently. And cheers to Rick for recommending that band to me a while back.
Yeah, I've been into them for a while. And like you said, they are pretty weird. They're like a great Halloween-y thing to put on. But like you said, without being overly cheesy. Like
they, for me at least, yeah, the cheese level is low enough. It doesn't ruin the music at all. I can see for some people that it would probably cross that line. But you're right, Rick. Yes, it does have that kind of, spooky Halloween-ish vibe to it. They're not going for anything that's, totally necro or anything. But it works really well. I really like what they do. All right, Marty, I'm going to pass it over to you, and I'm going to run and get myself a beer.
Right on. Well, this past week, we had the awesome privilege of hosting Kellen and his wife, Corinne. Kellen from Killing for Company. Had a great time. He ran a marathon. Hopefully he talks about it on his channel a bit. We together, and TJ, of course, from the album club, we rode down to Grand Rapids and hit Vertigo Records. Longtime favorite. Kellen bought a bunch of stuff, and I found some really cool stuff as well. First off thing I'm showing, Dessau, Exercise Intention. This is a band from, I think they were from Nashville. Yep, Nashville, Tennessee. This is an industrial band, more or less, but it's guitar industrial, so there's an element of guitars on here. Is it metal like Ministry? I hear some punk in here, honestly. And the guitars just add they're kind of taking the place of keyboards, but it's not like Ministry, which is funny. I say that because the last song on the album is Isolation, which is a Joy Division cover. Actually, Dessau put out a single for this. It's a really cool cover, and it was produced by Al Jorgensen and Paul Barker at Chicago Tracks Studio, and I think Al sings on it as well. It's a killer drum machine driven, lots of reverb, cover of an awesome Joy Division song. But this is one of those bands that may have kind of slipped through the cracks for a lot of people, but I don't think they're around anymore, to be honest with you. And I can't read in the darkness here what year this came out. But this is a really above average industrial record. It's
called
guitar industrial.
Dessau.
Dessau. Yep. Exercise Intention.
I've got a tribute to Joy Division. I wonder if they're on there. 1 sec.
It might be. But yeah, and the thing of it that's really cool is I got this for $5.99. It's in completely perfect shape. It was in the used bin. And it's in perfect shape, and it just goes to show if you get the right record store for a guy that's been selling records for a long time and doesn't really try to screw people with ridiculous internet prices, there are still deals to be found and deals to be had. Granted, this is probably one of those types of records that isn't going to jump off the shelves. So he priced it to move. He probably bought it for $1 and flipped it for, a decent profit. But yeah, I mean, I love this kind of stuff. I love industrial music, and this is a good one for sure. So if you're into that type of stuff, check these guys out. Are they on there, Rick?
Oh, darn it. They're not. It's this guy right here. It looks like it came out in 1995, and it's just ceremonial. I don't know how long that band's been around. It's got Icon, Wreckage, Lycia. I know you know Lycia. That's
Yep.
Phobia, Corpus Delich, and Last Dance. Quite a few roster. There's some no names, some I don't know. I do know Icon. I got quite a few other things.
Phobia the Grime Band?
I don't think so.
No, I don't know.
So I know what you're talking about. I got a few other stuff too, but not that Phobia. But yeah, I would love to see a version of grind bands do a tribute to this. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Yeah, a grind tribute to Joy Division. Holy crap!
I got a grind tribute to Motorhead. So
well, that makes doable. Somewhat sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess in a way.
Oh, dude, Logan, that is such a great record. Oh, the EP is so good. Their last great piece. But anyway, Patrick, you're back.
All right. So this is a new release from 2024. This is Aberration with Refracture. This is one of those Sentient Ruin bands. So if you know what Sentient Ruin bands sound like, that is what this band sounds like. Avant-garde, death metal, stylistically similar to bands like Portal, Alterage, Knoll. Knoll's a just newer death grind band from Tennessee, Tennessee. I think TJ might like this, Marty.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to. So I often think of stuff like this, like it's good escape room music that would actually make escape rooms like really scary, So yeah,
Mhm.
Halloween music. But yeah, long songs, that churning kind of noisy, almost war metal sound also comes in on this, but it is more doomy. Kind of like that new Sivaris album, but again, if bands from if they were on Sentient Ruin, uh,
I'm just comparing, Patrick, like the cover and that one.
right.
It's like
Yeah, there you go. They do look similar.
just needs a spike going right through his back.
Right.
Rick is he's bitter. He's envisioning the Eternal Idol and other album covers. That's amazing. He wants it on vinyl.
Remixed by Sentient Ruin.
Right. Yeah, so it has like 5 tracks, 42 minutes. So they're kind of longer songs. That suffocating, dark, atmospheric death metal. If you're into that, if you're into Sentient Ruin, if you're into Portal, this is way more listenable than Portal, though. I do want to say that, according, in my opinion. But yeah, that is my next choice.
All right. Oops, sorry, Alan.
That's all good.
Rick.
That's cool, Patrick. I've seen that record around, but yeah, I didn't really know what it was. So now I do. Very cool.
Rick.
Yeah, that's a really cool pick. I noticed like whenever we do these what's spinning things, like it's good to piggyback right off somebody, because sometimes we'll have like an assortment of things that I'm like, there we go. And Sentient Ruin is a good thing to pick up from, because I can always count on Patrick for that more extreme stuff. And Sentient Ruin are one of those how like I've never heard of them, but it's a bit of a gem. They have quite a number of good things
They
there.
have a lot of gems, yes.
Yeah, really caustic, a lot of really experimental, and a lot of really out there stuff. So I actually had one here. I had it in a shrink for like 2 years. I've never spun it, and I went through my stack. I must have bought it during a sale, and it kind of just sat there. And I looked at it, and I was going through my stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm looking at the cover, and I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. And so it's a band called Endemic Past, and the logo is unreadable. So I left a hype sticker. So I know what it is. And you're looking at this, it has a sort of very Defeated Sanity kind of look to the logo. That very nice unreadable. That tells you it's something brutal, right? Like, and it has that real murky and all this stuff going on. And so it turns out this is the only thing they put out. So this is a band with Colin Marston. And Colin Marston, everybody knows, engineer extraordinaire, musician, all that stuff. Guy's got a degree in music theory. I had to set that precedent, because here he puts out something like this brutal death metal album right here. And if you guys know Crowless, if you're a fan of Crowless and that really weird stuff, so this is kind of take Crowless, right? And this is their take on doing that Defeated Sanity, suffocation kind of direction. It's very strange, but for what it is, it's actually timed perfectly. Because I'm trying to process all the stuff that's going on, and they do use a drum machine, but it's done in a way where you can't really tell. It's not that grating, like So again, these are people with music degrees, right? So they know what they're doing. But this was a cool buy, and I didn't know it, because I bought it during a sale, and it's sitting there, and I'm like, this is a nice out there take on something like Suffocation and kind of bands in that vein. It doesn't have the kind of breakdowns like you will get in something like Suffocation. It's again, it's a little more out there, a little more in the Crowless kind of direction, but nevertheless, I checked out Sentient Ruin's site. It looks like they're currently sold out of this, because I think it was like a one-time run. But if you see it around, it's called Red Amarcord. And so if you want a more weird, Crowlessy sounding Defeated Sanity kind of thing, again, I don't know how you guys are up on your brutal side of stuff, but
I'm down. I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. One of my top albums of the year is that Quinn, right? Like, so
Right.
my mind's already in that kind of mood.
What year did that come out, Rick?
This came out 2020.
Oh, really? Okay.
2020. Yeah, I was sitting there for like 2 years. I must have bought it during a sale.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that has like a foot stack of vinyl that sits on a shelf out underneath the stereo that I had to have, but I haven't spun yet, and it's been there for some of the records have probably been there a good 3 or 4 years, which
It's
is
a sad
really
reality.
sad to say, but it's true. It's really lame, but yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, good stuff. And again, I hope they release other material. This is the only thing they put out as far as I know so far.
Right.
And Colin Mars is a busy guy. So maybe that's why.
Very, yeah, and I don't think that band is too high on his list of things to do.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. Alan.
All right. So my first one was a band that Rick recommended to me. Second one I've been playing was recommended to me by Jack Halfaprayer, who's been in the chat tonight. Good to see you, Jack. This came out last year. It was my favorite album from 2023, and it's back in my playlist here in 2024. It's Greek black metal, Thy Darkened Shade. This is their third album, Liber Lucifer 2 Mahapralaya. This band's been around for over a decade, so they're not releasing stuff super frequently. But yeah, it's really amazing Greek black metal. Best things I can compare it to, for those not familiar with the band, sounds a lot like 21st Century Abigor, at least what little 21st Century Abigor I'm familiar with. I don't know their catalog completely, but it reminds me a lot of newer Abigor. It also reminds me a bit of something like Emperor's Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk if you stripped away like 14 of the 15 layers of synthesizer. Kind of get that component weeded out a good bit and have all the cool stuff under the synths left in place, and you've got at least the right idea for what these guys are doing. It's very intelligently written, kind of Luciferian black metal. All the instrumental performances on here are exceedingly good, and the production is such that you can hear everything. If you just want to pay attention to the bass, you can hear the bass line through this entire album, and the performance is just really jaw-dropping. If you just want to pay attention to the drums, you can listen to the drum sound, no problem, and the drumming performance is, top-notch, very intense. The album is, mixed up quite well in terms of, songs will vary paces and stuff, so it doesn't just sound like one long song. Every song has its own identity. It is a fantastic release, and every time this keeps getting back in my playlist every couple of months, and it stays there for a week or two every time that it comes back off. I did finally get a physical copy of it. It hasn't been well distributed in the US, but it's finally popped up on a distro or two, so I finally picked up a copy of it. I'll add a quick disclaimer because some people care about this kind of thing. The label the band is on, has, some very far right kind of leanings with people in charge of the label. If that's the kind of thing that really bothers you, and you don't want to buy stuff from that label, okay, that's your choice. No one tied to this band directly has ever been reported to have anything sketchy going on. So that's your own choice. If you are into it, that's fine. If you're not, that's fine. I just like to make that clear because I know some people do kind of want to know that so they can make an informed decision before they buy. But bottom line, incredible album. I have not heard much of the other stuff from this band, but I'm planning on picking up the Liber Lucifer 1 album, which came out like 9 years before this one. There's a big gap. A lot of folks have said they actually prefer that album to this one, that it does sound a little different. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out maybe sometime later this summer when I put in another order. But fantastic Greek black metal. At the rate this is going, this isn't just going to be my favorite album from 2023. It's rapidly kind of eking its way onto favorite albums of the last 5 years. It really is that good. So big thanks to Jack for recommending that one when it came out last year. I've really, really enjoyed that album.
I've been a little wary now of bands like when they start with the word "thigh." Like I'm like, okay, I'm expecting something with like blood, vampires, violins, like just.
and Thy Darkened Shade means all those things in the wrong context. Yes, it could very
kind
much.
Of a trope.
It very much could. It's the kind of name I wouldn't never really have gone and checked out myself if I just saw the name on a list. I would probably have thought the same thing. But for whatever reason, it came up, during a live stream. Jack was mentioning it as, I think he mentioned it basically when it came out. He's like, this came out this week and it's amazingly good. Yeah. And I'm like, if Jack likes it that much, yeah, I don't always agree with his, tastes on things, of course, but if he's really touting something, it's probably worth, at least giving it a spin or two and investigating it. And as soon as I played that one on Bandcamp, like, yep, I'm buying this. And it's actually gotten better and better with time.
Cool.
Yeah, that was in my top 40 of last year as well. I think it was like
Awesome.
probably as high as 10 or 11. Yeah, I really like that album. The vinyl, I'm waiting on the vinyl to come out. That has been on back order for a long time.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't. I haven't seen it posted anywhere. I was happy, and the CD may not have shown up well when I held it, but it's actually a nice one of the digi book type. So it's got kind of the hardcover to it. Right. I tend to like those just because they feel a lot more sturdy. So it's got a nice layout and design to it.
I love those. I just recently picked up a few Dios in that format. Cool. I just want to get them all now at this point. Like, I wish they sold them all in that format.
Yep. Yeah. The only thing I can see with that kind of format, over long periods of time, I do wonder if the pages inside the book will start to separate, since you don't have I don't know how well attached they are in the books sometimes, but probably like anything, if you handle it carefully and take care of your stuff, it'll probably last a good long time.
Right on.
All right, Marty, time to pass it over to you for number 2.
All right, then let's stay with Greece for a minute. I just picked up the new Lunar Spells album, Sacraments of Necromantical Empires. This is on Northern Silence Productions out of Germany. These guys are great. This is a great black metal band from Athens, Greece, and they're fast, like Marduk, but more old school black metal vibe. Been checking this record out. It's got a little bit more airy type of keyboards added to it. The production is very tight, very, very old school. I don't know. These guys write really catchy riffs. They keep it true, if that makes any sense. And I've got all their stuff so far, and I dig it. I think they're an excellent band. So, what's the matter with you? Why are you crying? Okay. Sorry, my dog is whining. But if you have not heard Lunar Spells, really anywhere in their catalog is a good place to jump in at. This is the latest. Shouldn't be too hard to find. I think I got this from Hell's Headbangers. So
I own one tape of theirs. I do want to get more. I did like what I heard.
Yep. Really solid, fast, speedy, old school black metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I agree with 9 That label tends to put out a lot of really good stuff.
Right on. What'd you say, Patrick?
I said I know their 2021 album. I remember that one.
Yeah.
It's kind of very raw. Very raw black metal, yeah.
Raw stuff I like. That's where my style usually lands for sure. All right. Patrick, you're back.
Oh, okay. So I hardly ever see this band mentioned. There's probably a reason for that, but so this is Belphegor with Conjuring the Dead. This is their 2014 release. They're from Austria. They've had 12 LPs at this point. This album is 10 tracks, 36 minutes, and they hit that sweet spot for me, that perfect mix of black metal and death metal. Maybe it's kind of generic, that was my point of saying I don't see it talked about that much, but all of their albums to me are pretty high quality. They're kind of like Undergang for me in terms of black and death. I like all their stuff. Track 7 has like an Immolation vibe and Morbid Angel. Track 8 on this album has, I hear like Gojira a lot, but they're also a little bit campy, even though I don't know if the band would like me to say that, right? But I find them quite campy.
Not in an Adam West Batman kind of campy.
Right. That's true. That is true at least. But so yeah, I was thinking of like a question to ask you all too, is there a band that you all like that might be generic on paper or even generic to your experience, but that you just like a lot, but that you would kind of agree with that they are actually generic?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One for me that jumps to mind is the thrash metal band Intruder from the mid and late 80s. There's nothing that makes that band stand out
in that
very crowded field. In the band Intruder. They're a thrash metal band from Tennessee. But they were on Metal Blade, had a couple albums. they're pretty standard thrash fare, but for whatever reason, I just really like their stuff.
I would probably put Anvil for me. Like I like Anvil, but they're not reinventing the wheel. You know, kind of with what they do, at least to my ears.
Man, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's a ton of them. I mean,
Sure.
I had a very bad collector scum stint with Drowning the Light.
Hmm.
They had 1 or 2 albums that hit the underground sound really well for me, and I went crazy, and all their shit sounds the same, and it's not really good. I just couldn't stop myself from buying it.
Right.
But I mean, it's all good, but you know, and then on top of it, he's probably a little sketchy too, which, yeah, what are you gonna do?
So for some reason with Belphegor, I kind of always think of them in the same vein as like Behemoth. But for me, I actually like Belphegor more than Behemoth overall.
More consistent.
More consistent. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm with you on this Belphegor stuff. I've got a few of their CDs, and I put them on. I'm like, God, this crushes. It's great. And I've watched a few things of them live, and they do kind of get all decked out. It is. I see what you're talking about with the campy stuff for sure. But they're a really good band. They're
Yeah, I
good,
think
but
so.
it's weird they're not bigger.
Right.
You know,
I think they're on Nuclear Blast though, so
they're
kind of
probably
bigger in that sense, you know.
yeah. And the live stuff I watched, there's a huge crowd in front of them. So
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
our
it's a name
perception's off on it probably.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
I've
ahead.
heard the name a lot, and I see their stuff on lists sometimes. But yeah, I've just never heard anything by them. So, but yeah, if they sound kind of like Behemoth, that would probably interest me. So, yep,
Yeah.
they're going up a few notches on to
Cool.
listen to list now.
Right.
Yeah, they cover quite a range, and I like the way they do their technicality because I'm pretty picky when stuff is overly technical, and they're not that kind of band, but they do it in just the right kind of way, where it doesn't tread that territory where they kind of lose me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean they do write some really good riffs.
Yes.
All right. Good one. Rick, what you got next?
If I pull this out, it's gonna like pretty much top everything, so you guys have to just end the stream right here. But it's just
That's what
I didn't know we were going to be showing our below where our bathing suit covers, Rick. Come on.
you forgot.
Damn it.
So
I gotta
it was such a
go.
nice stream until Rick made it X-rated.
this is a what's spinning episode, and I have to be honest. I'm being transparent here.
If you're
So,
spinning that, something's wrong, Rick.
There's people in the family who had babies. 2 of them actually, just this
If
month.
this is Taylor Swift, I'm out of here.
Well, okay. So, all right.
It might.
Rockabye Baby, lullaby renditions of Metallica.
What the hell is happening right now?
So
How is that different from most Metallica?
there you go. It's the Bear album, right? Like so. What's funny is I'm gonna gift this to somebody, right? So it was a newborn. Again, there's 2 newborns in the family. So get them started really early. This is one of those things. It's like a post-it, right? It's like, why didn't I think of this? I could be a millionaire right now. This is apparently an ongoing series. There's a whole bunch of these, and the company that started this was Lisa Roth, David Lee Roth's sister. Actually had the idea to put this together. So there's a whole flock of bands, and I actually sent one to Jake, Upside Down Church, which was a Black Sabbath version of it. So I gotta follow up with him, see if his kid's enjoying it. But I gave it a quick spin and be like, this is something I think that but it's very light. It does have a very, again, it's very lullaby. There really isn't vocals. It's just something you put on a rocker and just play in the background. So the songs are not going to stand out or be recognized like the way you would. It's not overtly Metallica or nothing like that. It just has that hint of that melody of the songs, which is hilarious. I put this in there. I'm like, this is a spin. It counts.
If you spin it, it counts.
So Lisa Roth has something going on here. I wish I had this business idea. I can put something together like this. And lullaby.
Well, there's still time, Rick. You just got to do it for a different band. You can do like the lullaby version of Morbid Angel. It can be like Cradles of Madness.
I don't think she did one for Morbid Angel. There's one for like Jay-Z, Pearl Jam. Again, there's a whole spectrum of this crap.
Oh, you could do the Mortician one, Hacked Up for Bedtime.
Yep. Yeah.
After stream meeting.
Meeting of the
You can
mind.
do the dismember version, like an ever-flowing stream. Because if you've ever changed diapers and that thing went off when you're in between the diapers,
So if
exactly what it's
you're
like.
curious, there you go. I feel like this right here should be like little sperms, just kind of, just to kind of get it going. But
Well,
yeah,
just like the load and reload covers, it has sperm on it too.
They kind of
Yeah,
shot their load already with those two covers.
when that
Rockabye
came out,
Chameleon.
I didn't put two and two together until a friend told me, because you know what that load is, right? I'm like, it's like a load of stuff. Like, no, like load. I'm like, oh.
Oh boy. Oh, Rick, we love you.
It's the wine. It's the wine.
All right, Alan.
How do you follow that?
Rockabye Chameleon, Tony says. There we go.
Tony. That's a hard one to swallow. All right, we'll do the round of recommendations one more time. Yeah, this band, Marty, a few years ago, finally prompted me to start working through their catalog. I've made a dent in it. I've been kind of slowly plodding along, but I did recently get the most recent Creator album. I started at the beginning of the catalog.
That's not the one you showed me from the store.
Nope, it's not.
No. Hopefully you got that one too, because the other one's better. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but I haven't spun that one yet, so
right
I can't show it tonight. But yeah, so I've been working my way from the front of the Creator catalog. Was at a store last weekend, and they had a couple of Creator albums on the shelf. And it's like, I have never bought a new Creator album. The handful I have all been used purchases from eBay or Discogs or a record show. And so I was like, I know some folks had misgivings about this album. One of them may or may not be coming up after my turn here, but I still just kind of want to pick it up to check it out. I heard it when it came out, and I remember thinking it sounded okay, but again, just not that familiar. So I've been spending this one. First impression is it's pretty good, but I do get why some people maybe don't like it. For the good points here, it's got very good sound. It's very energetic. There's decent variation. The songs are pretty memorable. Things are sticking in the brain pan pretty early on here. So yeah, it's a fun, energetic listen. I get that. On the other hand, I can see where some folks may feel that every one of the songs on here does have that kind of big chant or sing along feel, which could maybe wear on folks who want a little bit more of the kind of more vicious sound of Creator. Yeah, and yeah, a lot of them, it's not certainly not power metal, but they do lean on the melodic side of things more.
It's almost like a melodic Swede death band to me now.
A little bit, yeah. They get compared to a lot of Swedish death metal. Some folks want to say push it into power metal circles. I don't quite hear that. I think that's people maybe just being a little hyperbolic. So yeah, bottom, if you're really just wanting the experience from the early Creator stuff, no, this isn't quite there. You're probably going to be a little disappointed. Yeah, at the same time, considering how long this band has been around and how many albums they've put out, this certainly isn't bad. You can put it on, enjoy it, and they're still doing things pretty well. It still has some pretty aggressive songs. The title track, Killer of Jesus, these are still songs. They're very riff based, very heavy. Millie still sounds very pissed off about everything. He still has a great vocal performance. So yeah, I don't think anyone is likely to rate it as their favorite Creator album ever. I don't think it's a total waste of time or a write off or some kind of Euro power metal wankery, as some people are giving it 0% kind of scores and stuff. It's certainly not that bad either. If you've one or two others I've heard from this era, like Phantom Antichrist and stuff, if you're okay with modern Creator, this one seems to fit in there fairly well. So that's my take on it so far, at least. I'm glad I picked it up. I'm enjoying it for what it is. I understand that, yes, it's not going to crack the top 5 Creator rankings.
I remember people crapping on it when it came out, and being the contrarian I went ahead and just bought it because they were crapping on it. Yep. But it's unfair. That's the problem with these legacy bands. It's like they're competing with their early catalog, and that's always going to be the case.
They're never going to win. They're never going to beat that.
Yeah.
They're never going to beat that.
Terrible certainty.
And they're also they've always got the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
No, I was just comparing the albums. Like, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
But for what it is, you have to look at it from the lens of a modern thrash, heavy thrash album.
Yeah. They also always have the problem of, like you said, they're competing with themselves. And if they make an album that's too similar to other stuff, people will say, oh, that's boring. You're stuck in a rut. But if they go way out on a limb and try something like, doing, Creator, lullabies of hate, people are going to freak out, lose their minds and, try to cancel the band, claiming that, they've sold out and all this stuff. It's really hard for bands that late in their career to find the right balance of those things. I think Creator is at least close to that with this album. That they're not trying to just make a lesser copy of Pleasure to Kill, but they're still making an album that's plenty heavy. No one's going to accuse them of, well, most people aren't going to accuse them of just going off the reservation or anything either.
I gotta say though, we are, as old farts that were around when the early Creator was coming out, we'll always be comparing it to that. But if you're a new guy just checking out this band for the first time, you buy the CD, there's no reason why. There's nothing on here that's going to deter you from this band. It's a good CD. And I don't know, I spun it a few times the first week I got it, hit the rack, never been pulled out again. And it isn't because it sucks. It's good. It's just, it's not my teenage Creator, which it's, kudos to them for still sounding somewhat like Creator and still being productive and getting bigger as the years have gone on. So, I mean, not nostalgia, you got to put that aside and you have to look at it. He's appealing to a different audience here, which is completely what you're supposed to do as a band,
Yeah.
I put it on a road trip one time and it was kind of fun to drive along to, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I can see it working that way. Well, last note on it, one review I read that was kind of funny. The person was griping about the album a lot. They're like, oh, this is just Creator songs that are meant for all the middle-aged guys going to whack in, and for all the teenage noobs just checking out the band for the first time. And I kind of stopped and thought, I'm like, well, who else do you think was going to listen to this album? I mean, that pretty much covers the demographic.
Yeah,
right.
It's not for soccer moms. It's not for the kids shopping at J. Crew. Who else was supposed to buy it other than those two groups of people? So yeah, I got a good chuckle out there because they're complaining about it. It's just like, but that's exactly who they're supposed to be selling albums to.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, Marty, what's next on your list tonight?
Well, I finally cracked the cellophane on this one. Had it for a minute. I got one for myself and one for Alan.
Thank you,
The
sir.
new
Appreciate
High
it.
Spirits, Safe on the Other Side. And you know what? This is a great record. It really is. It's so fun. This band is so uplifting. I would say I've got all the records now, and this is right up there at the top of good records from this band. He's got an ear for writing good, catchy, upbeat stuff. And if you want to lump this in with that new wave of traditional heavy metal stuff, these guys are right up the top for me. I don't know. There's maybe a bit more of a commercial leaning slant to Chris's music, but I like this band. And this isn't a style that I listen to often, but maybe I came at it with more of a sympathetic ear because I know Chris, but it's just so catchy and well done, well recorded, everything about it. It's just fun. It's a fun record. So yeah, I mean, if I don't want to be all dragged down by darkness or, complexity or technical.
I saw that on a few end of year lists last year.
Yeah, it's a good record. So yeah, Safe on the Other Side. For those of you that may not have caught it, Alan kind of reviewed this record on Heavy Metallurgy. So go check that out. What his thoughts are on it for sure. Or he could tell you now.
Chris Black to me does no wrong. He reminds me of someone like Andrew Lee's another one. He plays these multiple genres of stuff, and he just somehow knows how to execute those styles.
Yep.
Yeah, he really does. That's a good point, Rick. Yeah, and I've liked all the High Spirits albums, but this is probably the best one, maybe since the debut, for me at least. A very, very fun album. Has one of his the first song on it, and I don't remember if I think it's the title track. It's one of his best tunes in years and years, and he's always writing good songs, but that one really stands out.
I just have the one with the subway map looking cover that confuses everybody because it looks like it's something like that could have been a jazz album.
Yeah,
I didn't show
the
Def
cover art
Leppard.
is a thing sometimes.
I'm not above showing Def Leppard. I like Def Leppard just fine, Melanie. So do you. So come on. And this is funny. High Spirits, the Def Leppard of the 2010s and 2020s. Great. No problem with that. But
just without all the cocaine and hookers and tens of millions of dollars.
exactly, yeah.
Cocaine go away. No one talks about cocaine anymore. Like it's ever since Breaking Bad came out, no one talks about cocaine. I'm just saying.
You need to bring it back, Rick.
Rick's bringing it back.
Like Dr. Roxo, Dr. Dreadful.
I was around in the 80s, but I didn't hit puberty yet. So, what's my thing yet.
All right. Patrick, you're back.
All right.
He's putting up with our shenanigans tonight.
This is the silver with Ward of Roses. It came out in 2021. They're from Philadelphia, as Rick probably knows. This actually features members from Horrendous, Jamie and Matt Knox. And I saw it on the Decibel Top 40 list. And at first it didn't click with me. And then recently it has clicked with me. So beautiful solos, audible bass lines, great production and mixing. Stylistically, I do hear that Horrendous guitar playing style, but again, in a black metal, post-black band. I hear Enslaved, Opeth, a little bit of that 80s goth in it as well. Textured, emotive vocals, very cathartic. But yeah, so if you like Marduk style black metal, it's not that, but it's very so if you like that Wayfarer album from last year, I think you would like this as well.
Well, that got my attention.
Yeah, so check out the Silver Ward of Roses. It's their only album so far, but yeah, it's out on Gilead Media.
Stefano, is that true?
Yeah, is that true?
That could be very cool and true, or that could be a good funny joke about it having the picture, the flowers on the cover.
I like it.
Nice.
Yeah, On Through the Night's cool too, Tony. Sorry, we're having Def Leppard conversations in the chat.
On Through the Night came out 1980 of March. That's when I was born. So I'm about as old as that album.
Have you heard the Silver?
Fun fact.
Rick, have you heard that album?
No. You got me curious now. And you mentioned Wayfarer. I have it right here, American Gothic.
Wayfarer and the boys from Horrendous. So I think you'll like it.
All right, yeah, that sounds like my bag, man. Cool.
Stefano's
he was joking.
Grandmother did not make that pain, but it is a funny joke. Sorry.
Didn't want to laugh at it, and then it turned out that it really was your grandma.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, my grandma actually did. Fuck you guys. Yeah.
Like, no, she's an underground artist. Oops.
All right. Rick,
time to redeem yourself, Rick.
He's gonna show a typo negative record now. Look at him swilling that red shit.
Instead of slow, deep, and hard, this one's gonna be like long, soft, and nice.
Outro a proper album this time around. One I've been actually meaning to come around to, but it's been a while. So bouncing off Patrick again. So I went to that Wayfarer show with Jeff, and one of the bands that played there was Wayfarer was the headlining act, of course, but this band Sonja, right here, Loud Arriver. So I bought this at the show, and if any of you guys know, so this is a band out of Philadelphia.
Yeah. And
so local act to me, and the guitarist. If you guys know the whole drama that went down with the guitars for Absu at the time, and so this is her band. I talked to Melissa over at the table, and because there's like in this little I guess band called Crossbitter. If anybody knows that demo that came out called Crossbitter, it's some pretty vicious, really brutal stuff. And I asked her about it, and she said there's a full length they're working on. So I'm really excited about that. So it's the same thing, but this style right here, it's kind of like was cool. It was a cool set. She's a great musician, and they pull up a hell of a set. I know I had one of the members from Woe, it's in this band, and it's kind of like imagine like Haunt and like Unto Others, right? They used to be Idle Hands, right? Yeah. It's kind of that combination, and the guitar kind of reminds me of has a bit of this sort of light kind of Steve Stevens kind of style. You know, if you guys know like that kind of that really way he kind of riffs with the way he does kind of stuff. It has a bit of that production. I wouldn't call this like a balls out heavy metal album, but it does have that metal leanings to it, and it has a bit of that hard rock kind of side to it at the same time, along with a retro feel. It kind of it feels very 80s to me. Very refreshing. They played a Maiden cover in their set. I forget what song it was. Jeff could point it out. Yeah, oh yeah, you know that crossfitter, Brian Mostly Metal Updates. Great channel, by the way. You should check out his channel. And he knows. So yeah, so this is cool. If you're looking for something that's a little more retro, kind of 80s, with a bit of that Steve Stevens style guitar, but with a bit of that feeling of like bands like Haunt, Cauldron. It kind of bounces out all those with a bit of a gothic kind of tinge to it. Right. So very surprised, very cool set. So Louder River. So this is the only full length that came out. Cruz del Sur, by the way, I forgot to mention it. And Alan, you know, Cruz del Sur is no joke of a label. They put out
it's a great label.
Really
cool
bands.
bands.
Another really good one. Yep.
So you know, that alone tells you I pretty much trust most of their catalog. I mean, they got stuff there. The problem is because they're an import band, and getting their stuff here is a pain in the ass.
Yep, another one in that same boat as Van Records
directly. But yeah, really cool. If you like 80s style metal with a bit of the rock edge to it, with a little bit of gothic leanings, bam, this is it. It's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Super active chat tonight. You guys all rule, seriously, and ladies, y'all rule. Thanks for joining us. Almost 90 people. So thanks for joining us. I know the Maryland Death Fest is done, so we have a few more people than we did last week. So cool to see everybody. Thanks for chatting.
Indeed,
Alan.
indeed.
Rumpelstiltskin Grinder. Yeah, here you go, JZ Warrior. She's in that band too.
All right, on.
Good deal. All right, next up, this will be a weird one.
What's up, Dwayne?
Hey, Dwayne. Good to see you. Been spinning this. I have not played it a ton, so I don't have a real in-depth analysis. But picked up. This is a Chinese black metal band called, I'm guessing it's pronounced Zuri Ake. Put the name up here a little bit closer for folks to check out. They've done a couple of albums over the past 10 or 15 years. You know, the couple of EPs, not very prolific, kind of typical black metal band output. This is their second album called Guyan, and it's actually quite good. A little hard to describe. It's got elements of atmospheric black metal, little touches of symphonic black metal, not too much, just a little here and there. Every now and then you'll get just like, a little bit of a hint of maybe like, sort of, post black metal or shoegaze, but, it really focuses more on like, the atmospheric side and also some folk black metal mixed in. So it's kind of a weird combination of different, subgenres of black metal put together. Don't know a whole lot about the band. The name translates to Lake of the Buried Corpses, which that's pretty fucking cool. But yeah, it's kind of, an amalgamation of different words. And of course it translates a little bit differently from Chinese. This was something that showed up at the local record store maybe a month or so ago when I stopped in and just kind of browsing the stuff they had on the wall. And they had, I noticed this. And I thought the logo looked familiar, but I could not remember it to save my life. So eventually I just had to ask the guys, I'm like, okay, not to be a total, Stuart here, but which band is this again? Because I could not read it. And the guy looked at me, he's like, oh crap, I looked it up a couple of days ago and I can't remember now either. So we had to kind of take it apart to figure out the band name. And they were cool. They pulled it up, played some clips for me there in the store. And it's just like, that's actually not bad. And so I just kind of bought it on a lark. What this part is, it's a 2 LP set, but this version comes in just like a cloth bag. So, this is what I was seeing on the shelf. And then, in the bag, you get, the album. The cover is a gatefold And let's see. So yeah, the album itself covers 3 sides, and then 2 tracks from an earlier EP are included as bonus tracks on the 4th side of it. So yeah, kind of an interesting one. I knew nothing about the band, had never heard the name. I've never heard any other Chinese black metal band. This is my first foray into that particular scene. It was one of those moments that was like, that's kind of cool. If I don't buy it, it will not be here the next time I come to the store. And it would probably be a pain in the ass to have to track down online. I looked it up, in more detail later, and yeah, it's limited to a couple of 100 copies. If you have to buy a copy from overseas, of course, then the shipping cost gets nutty. So it's just like, you know what, this may be a bad decision, but on a lark, I'm going to buy it, and I'm glad I did. I'm still playing it. Like I said, I haven't fully digested it yet, but yeah, some very good atmospheric black metal. There's lots of kind of nature sounds here and there in the background. Songs will end with waves crashing. They'll start with birds and woodland noise. Everything's very clean sounding on it, though, too. It's not like a murky, dense kind of atmospheric black metal. It's, pretty clean. The vocals are quite good. They use mostly, kind of caustic black metal vocals, but there is some clean vocal usage as well. So it's an interesting one. Like I said, they've only done a couple of albums to date. The few reviews I found about the band, this one seems to be the better of the 2 albums. So it's been an interesting purchase to kind of learn a little bit and get a sense for what Chinese black metal sounds like. And I'd say it sounds pretty good. So Zuriaki out of China.
That's a really good pick. I discovered him a little while back, and the early release, it reminded me a little bit of the Burzum sound, but not as raw.
Okay.
From the early days, and a little bit of, if you like that band Phaedra.
Yeah, Phaedra is very good.
It kind of has that bit of that feel to it too.
Okay.
Yeah, Pest I ordered one through Pest directly. I'm a little embarrassed to admit the shipping cost in that thing.
It's okay. I've ordered a thing or two from Hong Kong labels, so I understand what you're paying.
But that's a really good one. Yeah, I don't hear anybody really talk about it very much. I got a CD and a tape, but yeah, the vinyl, that's awesome that you have it. They do some really nice packaging.
Yeah, the packaging, I'll admit, the packaging was one of the things that kind of pushed me into the buy category, because I'm like, I don't know, but that is a really cool package. And like I said, somebody else would have wandered in and bought it if I waffled on it. I know that store, I know their clientele. It's just like anything you see, you better buy it the time you see it, or just
the runs are
resign
quite
yourself to not
limited.
getting it.
They don't do big runs on that stuff, which I understand, why, for what it is.
Sure, yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, and just this particular edition, the album's a 2015 release, but this pressing, it is on Pest Records, their label, but this pressing I think was done in 2017 for this particular edition. And there are some other vinyl versions of it that don't come with the cloth bag and I think there's some colored vinyl variants of it. So yeah, kind of a cool one if folks are looking to check out sort of a slightly different type of black metal. Last thing I'll say on it, one person I've talked to about it kind of compared them. They said, oh, it's kind of like in the Caladan Brood or Summoning vein of black metal. Mm. I would not agree with that assessment of it. It doesn't have that really dense, layered world building sound that those 2 bands have. This one, again, if anything, it might sound like I've seen some people compare it to like Druk and Moon Sorrow. I don't know those bands well enough to say if that's a great comparison, but it feels like that's more the right direction. There are parts of it that remind me a little bit of like maybe Falls of Rauros, Panopticon, but not as intense musically as a Panopticon, but getting maybe a little bit more in that direction.
I can understand why they say that, because when you get into those monotonous riffing kind of moments, I can see why they would make that resemblance to that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say this sound like Druk, but I can see why the style maybe kind of have a bit of an influence, but I wouldn't say, tone wise and everything else. I feel like they have their own little thing going on.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting, but I'm not really deep in atmospheric black metal, so there could be other bands that are good comparisons. I just don't know. But yeah, thanks for the info, Rick.
All right. Well, let's neither of these records came with a pillowcase, so we'll just have to make do with it. But
you keep your head off my limited edition pillowcase, Marty.
Yeah. Well, I went to a record show a couple weeks ago and picked up a couple Scorpions records.
Nice.
The Scorpions are a band that I knew as a younger lad, and I had Love at First Sting, liked it just fine. Never really pursued. I had Worldwide Live as well, and I just never pursued their catalog. As an older guy, I'm really starting to I really like the Uli John Roth era of Scorpions, but the Matthias Jabs era is also fun. This is a great record as well. But yeah, Virgin Killer. It's weird. It's a weird record. It's squirrely. It's weird. This obviously isn't the controversial cover, thankfully, because I would have felt real funny buying it. I would have bought it, but I'd have felt a little embarrassed by when my kid was with me too. I'd be like, "Hey,"
they would also have taken a picture of your driver's license if you bought one.
Right. But I'm having a come to Jesus moment with the Scorpions, like I wish I would have had with UFO. And I know there's some people that got a little bent out of shape with some of the things I said about UFO, but you know, what are you going to do? You have to share your opinions. They're not always in line with what everybody thinks. But Scorpions, for me, man, they're up to a certain point. This band is really good, and even we covered their latest album, Rock Soldier. Was that the name of the new record? I don't remember. Rock Survivor. I don't know. The latest Scorpions record we covered on the Album Club. And God damn it, they're old farts and they still rock. They're still good. They sound like the Scorpions. Klaus Mina's vocals it's him. It sounds like him. And these old records are fun. And it's fun to find them in the wild for cheap. And the fact that you can go into record stores and find these things for ridiculous amounts of money, which is stupid because they were mass produced. Mercury Records, you think this is limited? Do you think this should be $40 record? No. This should be under $20 all day long. I got a good deal. I got them like $16 a piece. And I don't know. I've been really having a great time exploring the Scorpions records.
Well, the reason they're still putting out music is it's the same reason AC/DC is still out there doing their stuff. You know, it's like they have a fan base, and their dads bring their sons, and they're at this point probably grandchildren.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, when you showed Virgin Killer, that's one of those albums you're like, thank God they have an alternate cover.
Yeah, Love Drive has an alternate cover too. I think I sent my other cover to Alan as well. Did I send you that Love Drive record?
Yes, you sent me the Love
Scorpion
Drive LP with the blue Scorpion cover.
I got
the CD with the other cover.
The Love Drive, right? The one with the blue Scorpion on the cover.
Yeah.
So that's the alternate cover, I guess, to it.
Yep.
And so I got that from that Nuclear War Now sale. So that's what's his name, Yosuke. That's like his personal copy.
Yosuke.
So I ended up with his personal copy of it.
Oh, cool.
Fun fact.
Yep. Good stuff, man. Scorpions are fun. It's fun. Yeah, It appeals to us old farts even more. But all right, Patrick, what you got next?
I think Melanie will back me up on this one if she's still in the chat. Another new release, $20 spin. This is Atre Billis with Homicide. So on paper, I shouldn't like this band. So yeah, super clean, cold, dry production and mixing choices. Down-tuned guitars that almost sound like Gent guitars, according to my partner, actually. She's like, what is that Gent album you're playing? I'm like, it's not Gent. But so yeah, very technical death metal, but it all comes together for me. Stylistically similar to maybe Necrophagous, Revocation, Gorguts. Very thematic and conceptual band and album. So yeah, very dissonant, but there's groovy parts. I just like what this band does. Controversial album cover as well. I think some people thought it was AI, but it's not AI. It's like it's just not AI. But yeah, I really like this album a lot. I like this band a lot. One of my favorite modern death metal vocalists. There is a tremolo pedal that I think they use that has this modulation effect and makes this wobbly sound that some people don't like, including Thralls of Metal whenever they reviewed it. But for some reason, this just album comes together for me. And yeah, another $20 spin release. This probably will be high up on my year-end list. It just works for me. So for fans of Revocation, Gorguts, Necrophagous, check this out.
Yeah, Melanie reviewed this one for Heavy
Right.
Metallurgy. Go check out the review. It's up there.
The thing is, it's a $20 spin band, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like I've got so saturated with $20 spin bands last year. It's like felt like I needed to take a break just a little bit because it was like they are so consistent. They put out so much good stuff. It's like I got to give these other labels a chance, you know.
Yep.
And that may be why I skipped that one. But I'll have to come around to it. But that's a good thing.
All right. Rick, you're up. I'm going to go use the little boy's room. I'll be right back.
All right. Looking at Maya's comment, the gentiness, it's not for everybody. I get it. It's hard to really. That's why, like, when you mentioned like bands like like Belphegor, like that, when you get overly technical, I know there's certain elements
Right.
that can lose some people, but there are bands that do it in a certain kind of way and just do it right. That does click. That's why I don't always dismiss a certain genre or certain kind of style, because it's not that you don't like that style, but sometimes there's just certain bands that know how to do it in some kind of way to kind of vibe with you,
Right.
even though if it's not your main bag. So might be the wine talking. Yeah. So here's a cool one. So this is an EP, and I found this in the stash of stuff that I had. I go, what the hell is this? And you know how like you have we all have a lot of CDs, right? We're wondering what the hell we have in our collection. And I saw this thing sitting there. I'm like, I remember this, but what the hell is it? Panzer X Steel Fist. So it turns out these are the guys from Vader doing their take on heavy metal. Not bad. It's a side project. It's a little experimental. Just kind of giving their you're kind of curious, like, what would like the bolt thrower guys? There it is, that guy. They decided to do something else that's not death metal. And here's one example of I kind of feel like this is a one shot thing. It came out in came out quite a while back. But I bought this used at some shop somewhere. I didn't know it was the Vader guys. I think it was two of the members. And yeah, so this is their hand at trying out heavy metal. So it's 6 tracks, and complete with a cover of Painted Black. So I didn't know the Vader guys went to the Rolling Stones, but then again, I do like that song. It's not a terrible rendition of the song, for what it is. It's just something I'm gonna go back to, listen to all the time. No. But for what it was, it's cool that they put out this little EP. And I like when bands do this. It's like, let's see what your little take on other styles is kind of like. You know what I mean? Does it have to be a consistent, complete, full-fledged band thing with a lot of releases? No. But if you find this around in the wild, check it out. Yeah, Jurgen would know. Of course.
Oh, yeah. I've talked to those guys about the design flaws of the Merkava.
Yep.
I mean, it's a great name, Panzer X. It's like, so I think it does fit kind of thing. But I am
Panzer
curious.
X, formerly known as Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't quit Vader and do this as your main thing. You know what I mean? That's all I ask. But if they put out a full length in this style, I'm very curious, because there's a little taste that I had with this. I did quite enjoy. Are they reinventing the wheel? No, not at all. They're just playing on their influences. But it's a cool little pickup.
I don't know, William. Kenny G on a power metal record. I don't know if I could withstand such an atrocity. Anyway. All right, Alan, my friend, you are up.
All right. Well, when we get into late spring, early summer, I typically have a little more non-metal stuff make it into the stereo. And there's a couple of those tonight. Might as well get this first one done. Pink Floyd, A Saucer Full of Secrets. I've never been very familiar with any of the early, Pink Floyd stuff. Like most people who spent, 4 years in college, I listened to, Dark Side of the Moon forward a good amount. That part of the catalog, of course, I'm pretty familiar with. But there's a lot of albums that came before Dark Side of the Moon. And I think Metal is the only one I had it picked up back then. And I never even played that one a lot. I like it, but it just never got a lot of spins. here recently, I've been starting to kind of scratch away and see what some of this, much earlier era of Pink Floyd sounded like. So Saucer Full of Secrets showed up, for $5 used at the local store. I'm like, that's the time to investigate. It's their second album. It's got, some of Syd Barrett, material is still on here. But he's being phased out of the band already at this point. If you know Pink Floyd's story, he of course was, a big influence, key member on the first album, but then was starting to have a lot of mental issues at the time. Of course, everybody just kind of associated with massive LSD consumption. As one person puts, like, having one trip every now and then is one thing. Having multiple LSD trips a day, not a good idea. Syd was in the latter camp, apparently. But it also later on, he had, issues. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia and such. So they were having to, he basically was becoming just not uncooperative, just literally couldn't function. And they had to start working him out of the band. This one's kind of a cool album. It's different. It's, varied. It's not, if you're only familiar with later Pink Floyd, it's not going to sound too familiar. It's kind of hidden in the cover, but there's actually an image of Doctor Strange, the Marvel superhero, right over here in the background of it. It's an early, hypnosis kind of cover for the band. It's got some of their better known songs on, Let There Be More Light and Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun are both on here. Really like that one in particular. It's one of Roger Waters', early, really top-notch compositions for the band. But it's got other songs too. Those two have, kind of the strong psychedelic sound that they featured early on. They also did a lot of songs early on that have this very laid back kind of pastoral vibe to them, which I would, didn't know until I started listening to some of these albums. You get Remember a Day and Seesaw are the two on here. Pink Floyd's decent at that style, but these songs tend to be, very soft, very calm, laid back, and they all revolve around this lyrical theme of, oh, do you remember the good old days of childhood when we ran and played in the meadows beside the River York and Cam, and life was simple? And it worked, but it's just kind of funny coming from guys who at the times is like, you're looking back like your grandpa, but you would have been like, what, in your early or mid 20s at this point? And you're like pining for the days when you were 8 years old, like throwing clods of mud at each other. It's kind of it's weird that they kind of keep going back to that well. There are reasons, yes, psychologically that, Syd wrote that kind of stuff. I get that. But, Remember the Day is the better of those two songs on here for me. You also get a couple of songs that go a bit off the deep end for me. And that's where you get like, this has Corporal Clegg. This song does everything I hate about late 60s psychedelic music. It's in that kind of Beatles tradition of just sounding silly. The lyrics are very silly. Corporal Clegg came back from the war. He won a wooden leg. And it's supposed to sound very whimsical and quirky and, avant-garde and all this stuff. To me, it just sounds stupid. It's what the Beatles started doing with stuff like Yellow Submarine. And so help me God, I never want to hear that song again. It's just like this very sing-along, silly willy, happy-dappy, goofy-woofy, dopey-wopey kind of stuff. And I just don't want that in late 60s pop psychedelia music. No, don't. Just no. I know there's a point. I know that Roger Waters is actually writing about, it's supposed to be this scathing critique of the military-industrial complex. And it's supposed to be this deep social commentary on how poorly veterans are treated when they're brought, come home from the war. And, they're just kind of cast aside, even though we make out they're like these big heroes, but we never help them. I get there's an important message there. All I'm asking is that you package it in a song that doesn't sound like it was written by a 4-year-old playing a xylophone hopped up on sugar from high C. Can we just get it in a little more serious context?
More like marmalade, not high C, marmalade. Anyway,
I'm kind of glad their psychedelic years was much shorter. Before they went to the prog stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and that became the more longer thing in their career.
Yeah.
The Syd era. The thing about the Syd era, though, if you like that era, it's not a good case for psychedelics because of what happened to them. But like people are like, well, if I take psychedelics, I could be just as creative and I can do stuff. I could tell like those bands. I like early Jefferson Airplane or 13th Floor Elevators. You know.
Yeah, but it's like they said, a little too much indulgence there, not a good thing. But yeah, the album ends with Jug Band Blues. It's the last of the Sid material, the last kind of song he penned for them. And once again, there's a lot of little not so hidden messages in there from him about, he's like, I know I'm messing this up and that you're just kind of putting up with me and I'm going to kind of bow out at this point. But it's another song. The kazoo is not an instrument that's meant to be played on a record. It's meant to be played by a 6-year-old who was good at the dentist.
I got mine at a cereal box. I'm just saying.
Exactly. If you're recording something that came out of a box of Captain Crunch, you need to stop rolling the tape and rethink your composition. That's all I'm saying here. So, at the end of the day, I'm glad I've checked it out. And I do like, some of the songs. I can't handle these really silly Pink Floyd songs.
That's a band that's been covered by so many metal bands too, like Tiamat. I mean, you can name it. There's a whole range of people have covered Pink Floyd.
Yeah, In the Woods covered them. Tiamat covered them. Oh yeah, there's a ton of them out there. So, and they're always one of those bands that are they're never metal, but a lot of metal fans do cross over into Pink Floyd.
But they have an album called Metal. It's close to metal. Yeah. Kind of a transition album from that era to the prog era.
I like that album.
One of my favorites.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I like the album Saucer Full of Secrets. I don't like every song on it, but I do think it's pretty good overall. We won't talk about Adam Heart Mother tonight. That's another story.
You don't like the Cow's Rear? All right, never mind.
That album has more problems than answers, in my opinion. But that's a spin. What's spinning in the future, perhaps. So I've spent a lot of time on Pink Floyd. Marty, please get us back to some heavier ground, if you would, please.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. This is a band, one of my favorite bands. I listen to them at least every other day. And my friend Alan hooked me up with a early birthday present. So Halloween, Gambling with the Devil.
Happy early birthday.
Yep. All these albums have been reissued. This one's on Atomic Fire. They're no longer on Atomic Fire. They're on Rising Phoenix Records. Confusing little bit of a transition there. But Halloween's Gambling with the Devil. Man, I love this freaking band. They're the perfect heavy metal band for me. Perfect. I love the vocals. I love the songs. As commercial as this band can get on occasion, they never lose touch with their speed metal side. There's just some ripping, shredding riffs on all this stuff. Kill It, The Saints, what a great song. Holy crap. As Long as I Fall, that's the commercial song on here. It's a Darius track, but it rules. It's a great song. Paint a New World, another speed metal charged track. This album from start to finish rules. Rules. Bonus tracks on here as well. Thank you, Alan.
You're very welcome.
I'm on the quest to get all of the Halloween shit on vinyl because I am the sickest of monkeys. I am the sickest. And I don't know.
I'm no conspiracy theorist, but you've been low on the Halloween mentions lately, and I think the album was giving you a reason to bring it up.
It was, and it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much Halloween I listen to. I mean, between me and my kid, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it never gets old. It remains fresh. Patrick, you need some Halloween in your life. I can see it in your eyes.
No, I know.
I can see your eyes. You're a little deficient. Your vitamin H deficiency.
That's what it is. Yeah,
you all tried with Melody. I don't know where she's at now with her power metal.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't really build off that theme there. But
Melanie loves dolphins.
Yep.
So this is probably my one of my favorite albums ever. Dremelec with Psychostasia. I don't believe anybody mentioned this in the 96 stream you guys had. Maybe somebody mentioned it. From Finland, everybody probably knows this album. Evil sounding riffs, yet I think some of the melodic guitar sections are quite fun. If I was in a death metal band, I'd want it to sound like this. I love the guitar tone. My favorite tracks are track 4 and track 5. If for some reason you don't know Dremelec, the modern bands that I think maybe kind of draw from this sound here is Altar, Phobophilic, early Tomb Mold. But yeah, one of my favorite old school death metal albums right here. I actually haven't checked out their newer releases. Have any of you guys checked out their later albums?
Nope.
I have that one.
Yeah,
It's good.
right.
Nope.
Yeah, just a
not.
classic. Been spinning it a lot. I like how it's just about 34 minutes long. I can put it on multiple times in a row and just it kicks ass.
If she changed her name to Melanie Loves Power Metal, she better invite me in for a stream. Damn it, we'll talk about Angus McSix and
She'll get there.
yeah.
I got a question for you, Patrick. Like
Yeah.
when you're jamming your tunes in your is it apartment or condo? I'm not sure if
Condo.
condo. Like
Yeah.
do you crank it to 10 like every time? I
So
feel like
it's
you're one
funny.
of those guys. Like
What's amazing is my upstairs neighbor is great, and he literally always tells me to keep playing my music, and he's not kidding.
What?
And that makes me feel free to sort of
Wow.
have it kind of loud. Yeah, I didn't expect that, but he's really a nice guy.
lucky bastard, man. I never have cool neighbors like that, man. It's
No,
like,
I was very
you know,
I do use headphones though with my record player, and that's been a really cool experience lately because that's kind of new, where I listen to some vinyl and headphones. But yeah, I kind of crank it. I crank it when I can, which is
but you got good taste, man. But sometimes, like, I know I get, well, not here, but where I used to live, it's like, why would you not want me to blast Mortician at
Exactly.
11? You know,
Right.
like, I don't understand.
Oh yeah, I still get anxious about it, but he always says, "Keep going, keep playing it. You live here, have fun." And I'm like, "Cool."
Wow.
That's awesome. Perfect.
I need a deaf neighbor. Just, just seek him out. Like, like desperately seeking deaf neighbor. No need to worry the details. Just
Right. Yeah, very cool.
All right. Good stuff. All right. Rick.
Wade did not have that kind of neighbor.
I would have called security too of that shitty vocal style by Lee Dorian after. Oh my god. Well, hey. Sounds like Fozzie Bear from the Muppets. Anyway. Waka waka waka. Anyway.
he's got that voice of that guy you'd imagine, but like what a mystery van with spray paint on it. This is free candy. I don't know. He's got that voice.
Well, my forest is no longer in equilibrium.
I figure this time I'll pull a 2024 release. Like, so this is one that TJ reviewed on his channel, and I gotta tell you, TJ's funny. I love him on the streams, but
Don't encourage him.
he
Don't
never
encourage him.
looked so out of his element when he did that review. And
I edited a lot. He did good. He was just he struggled. He wasn't close enough to actually have notes, so he was trying to remember stuff.
he looked like a
so-
hostage with a note saying, "Yes, we are treating me well. Everything is great." So of course I'm talking about the latest My Dying Bride.
He did good. It was good.
Yeah,
it's a
I
fun
agree with
review.
everything he said. It's a consistent. I mean, they got a whole lot of members, and the reason I bring it up too is people felt a little shitty about them because they were supposed to headline that Maryland Death Fest, and but we got Agalock on top of it. But I'm sure a lot of people, it's a bucket list band for me. I've never seen them live. I would love to see them in company. And long career. I mean, these guys they got nothing to prove. I mean, this is a band. You know what you're getting with this kind of thing. Ghost of Orion, I loved, but I gotta say, I think I like this more. It's definitely a progression. But I have a little thing about with what they did with and what other bands do, like with Her Dominion, right? Opening track, harsh vocals, pretty aggressive, but it's not like that the whole album. Because I think the starting track kind of sets the tone, or at least what you'd expect for kind of what the album's going to be like. With this, you get a bit of the side of the old era, a bit of the new era, mostly the new era. And I feel like Aaron, it's not so much a huge, what do you call it? Not I wouldn't say a fan, but he doesn't favor the harsh vocals as much as he used to, and I understand that. He does have those moments here. I gotta say, my favorite track, probably the Apocalyptist, right in the middle of the album, and I think it's placed perfectly. Where in a spectrum of all the other songs, it's the tracks are laid out in a way that doesn't keep you bored. I think the way it seesaws track by track, it's done very craftily, if that's a word. But if you're looking for like a bit of their, I guess what you call the classic era kind of sound, the last track, Crushed Embers, fits that feel the most. I love the way they ended this album. But I mean, you all know my Dying Bride. There's not much I can really add to it. But definitely check out TJ's review on it. Really good stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is a band. They put out something. I'm gonna buy it. It's just zero thought. I mean, I love this band. There are huge influence on why I got into extreme and on underground metal to begin with. They were one of my first Napster downloads back in the day.
The first EP and the first debut are some of my favorite shit ever.
Yeah. I mean, if I know people getting into extreme music and underground music, I go, you've got to check out Turn Loose the Swans. It's like it's on the list, like right off the bat. And because it's got a bit of the harsh vocals, it's got a bit of the I guess what you call the clean singing. But it's got a lot of those little mixture of things, and it has that nice classic 90s death doom sound. That I think people getting into this kind of genre, because what happens is if you're getting into this genre and you're listening to just the new bands, those new bands are influenced by these older bands.
Yep.
So you got to know those older bands, and this is like a prime example. Peaceville 3, right? Like, so it's like why wouldn't you? Great album and a very consistent band, and I definitely recommend picking this up if you're already into the. Not much I could say really. If you know my Dying Bride, it's kind of a no-brainer. But good stuff. Oh, I don't know if he showed the vinyl, but it's got a cool little etching on the last side. I might as well just show it. Right here. Yeah, check this. I don't know if it'll show up on camera.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
that is. It shows up good.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice
I love the
cover.
logo. I love this. This is not one of those bands that went Helvetica, like a lot of other bands.
They didn't they on like the one with the butterfly on it? Wasn't that like a font?
Did I block it out of my memory? Shit.
They had a couple of different logos. They did wander away from the classic logo for a couple of albums.
Yeah, that shitty Photoshop or whatever Corel Draw cover they did with the butterfly on it.
But they learned their lesson, like Immolation did. You got to stick with the logo, like the old.
And that 39% complete or whatever that had a font too, didn't it?
That was purposely an experimental album. It makes sense. I do, but I've learned to come around and love that album. I didn't at first. I'm like, what the hell is this strange bird? But this bird blossomed to something else. Is on top of my list? No, but I come to come around to it and appreciate it for what it was for its time. I'm glad they tried something different. It doesn't always work. I understand that.
So Zachary says Aaron has a new band called High Parasite. I wonder if that's the ruckus in the band.
Oh, is that why they quit? Is that why they didn't do the fest?
And what a dumb band name. High Parasite, really? Come on. You can do better than that. Anyway.
I like High Spirits more.
High Spirits is much better.
As a name.
Yep. All right, Alan.
Yeah. That's a
good pick, Rick.
Yeah, I've enjoyed that album too. It is a very good one. I agree. It's Ghost of Orion was good, but I think this one is better too.
I think it is. All
right. Next up, I have a question about this album. I'm hoping someone can answer because it's bugged me for years.
You got it. Answer coming up.
Good. I like your optimism.
Yep.
Classic album. Love it to death.
I don't own that album, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. Exciter, Violence, and Force. Their second album, barn burner of an album. Love this one to death. It's my favorite Exciter album. Others are quite good too, but this one is definitely top of the list for me. It's just one of the, and it's another kick-ass, over-the-top good album from 1984. Yeah, when we talk about best years of heavy metal, 84 and 86 are the two that most people kind of put at the top. And this is, one of the big cogs from 1984, in my opinion. Now, it's an album that and a band that, for some people is a little under the radar. It doesn't always jump to the top of people's minds. But yeah, this album is fantastic. Early on, Exciter had this perfect blend of like speed, little touches of thrash, and little touches of early US power metal kind of sound. Yes, I know they're Canadian. Canada's part of the US. Just get used to it, Canada. But yeah, they just hit that perfect sweet spot right in the middle of that Venn diagram where speed, thrash, and power would just barely cross over. And there's Exciter, and they did it perfectly. They didn't do the album cover perfectly. This is pretty goofy, but it's 1984. You could get away with that and not have people roll their eyes too much. Now, my question about this, and I really honestly do hope someone knows the answer. This is, a CD press. You've got 9 great tracks on here. But the album, when originally released, had 10 songs on it. Every CD press I come across, including this one, is missing track 5, the last one from side A, which is called Evil Sinner. And it's a killer song. When you look at CD presses of the debut album, Heavy Metal Maniac, Evil Sinner is always put on that as a bonus track. Which I don't. Now, why is this? Why is Evil Sinner not on the CDs of Violence and Force, where it belongs, where it originally came out? And why is it instead shoved onto Heavy Metal Maniac as a bonus track, which makes no sense because it was an album track on the second album? If someone can answer this, I will be very, very happy because it bugs the crap out of me. It's why I don't play this CD very much. I'll just dig the album off the shelf because I want to hear the album with all 10 tracks because they're all. And Evil Sinner is fantastic. Hearing this without Evil Sinner just always feels a little bit wrong. So I'm throwing it out there to the chat and viewers. What happened to Evil Sinner? Why doesn't it get on the CD?
Where did the Evil Sinner end up on?
It's a bonus track on CD pressings of Heavy Metal Maniac, the debut album, which it was never originally on the debut album. So it's just tacked on as a bonus track for a reason that makes me lose sleep at night. And I need to know why so I can sleep better on my Zuriaki pillowcase.
Made in China. It's great.
Won't turn your face green, we promise.
The bestest didn't hurt anyone.
Yeah, but yes, has anyone ever heard any reason why you get stuck with Evil Sinner being deleted from the CE?
Well, Simon just checked his OG vinyl and for sure is on it.
Oh yeah, I've got the OG vinyl on the shelf there too. It's on there. It's supposed to be on there. You pull it up on Metal Archives. It's 10 tracks. Last song, side A, is Evil Sinner. But yeah, again, I'm not nuts. It's right here in my hands. Here's the CD, 9 tracks, and it goes from track 4, Pounding Metal, straight to Destructor. Evil Sinner is supposed to be right there in between them. I've never, maybe there is some CD version that has all 10 tracks. I always see this 9-track version on CD.
Yeah, Andyman73 is asking, Alan, isn't there a 1991 pressing with the full track list?
I'll bet there is, Andy. I'll bet you're right, and I've just never come across it. But it seems like all the presses that are readily available that you're likely to stumble across have this 9-track listing. So, what's with that?
Stefanos has 11 tracks on it.
Stefano's got 11. Okay, that's interesting. I've never seen one with an extra track.
Well, when you find the proper track listing one, I will buy that pressing you have there off of you because I don't.
Oh, you won't have to. I'll send it to you.
That's one of those. The first 2 I don't have. Long Live the Loud is my first Exciter. I love that record. I love it.
It's a good album. I think the first 2 blow it away.
Yeah,
frankly.
I've got Feel the Knife vinyl too. The EP that's really good as well.
I'm just gonna say, damn it, Simon, my OG vinyl. How does all that shit get into Australia?
It's a place where all OG vinyl goes to die.
Jacked up kangaroos. How does it get through the customs and the wildlife?
You're on the right track, Rick. I have uncovered it. We will unveil the Simon OG vinyl conspiracy theory right now. You know how zoos have these exchange programs? Australia sends kangaroos to zoos around the world. And they have agents in those countries that take the albums, stuff them in the kangaroo pouches, and then when the animals have to get sent back to their original zoo, you just unbox. As long as you put them in those Japanese plastic ones, with the bags that actually seal with the sticky stuff. Hey, it's right there. It's fine. It doesn't get any kangaroo pouch goo all over it, so you're good.
Is
that
there
how he ends
kangaroo
up with-
pouch goo?
Absolutely. You've never been inside. You've never reached inside a kangaroo pouch. It's disgusting.
Anyway, Rick, what were you gonna say?
And no, he's got me. He'll pull up these OG vinyl videos, and I'm just my jaw is down to the floor, and I'm like, how the hell? But he does it.
Yeah, he finds them
And I
all.
love his channel for it. He deserves all his 6,000 whatever subscribers. Like he does it.
Okay, Dwayne, that's an alternate theory. There's no wrong answers here, so I think my kangaroo hypothesis might have more statistical merit, but yeah, whatever.
Hey,
Anyway, I'm gonna go dig through the chat to see if anybody can explain my Exciter conundrum while Marty shows us another cool album.
Hey, cheers to the 103 people in chat. Everybody, you guys rule. And girls. Cheers.
I'm getting drunk about a moment. Cheers.
There you go.
All right. Well, let's go
I feel
this
bad
route.
'cause I feel like I gotta behave for Patrick because he's so like well put together. Like with the
He's so straight edge. He's so straight edge.
I kind of am straight edge. I mean, I'm not straight edge, but I don't. Yeah. You know what I
Well,
mean.
you're a smart man. All right.
Cheers, man.
It's all good.
Cheers.
Okay. Well, again, another Vertigo Records acquisition, and I got to tell you, here we go. The new Borknagar record, Fall. The first song on here, Summits. Holy freaking crap! This song. It took me almost 2 weeks to finally listen to the whole album because every time I put it on, I listen to that song Summits like 6-7 times in a row. It is so good. It's the best Borknagar song they've written since Frostrite on Erd, in my opinion. This record is great. The band is still... They have such a unique sound. It's a Norwegian sound, but it's their own sound. They don't sound like Enslaved. They don't sound like any other band that's messing around with this style of music. But this album freaking rules. I was really impressed with it. The last couple leading up to it, it's okay. It's good. But this is great. I was really, really impressed with this record. I finally got to check it out when we did a deep dive and ranking on them with, who do we do it with? Melanie, right?
Melanie and also Jimmy from Future Ruins.
Excellent record. If you haven't checked in with Borknagar in a while, this is worth getting 100% for the song Summits alone. But thankfully, the rest of the album is really good as well. So I really respect the fact that this band arrived at their own sound in a sea of bands that it's really easy to get kind of caught up in a lot of sameness. And these guys, they might sound like Borknagar on every record, but that's not a bad thing. It's a good lane to be in, and excellent record. Really good. So good.
The
Very
thing about that,
impressive.
Marty, is that's a band. Every time they come out with a release, I expect to be disappointed, and I'm disappointed that I'm not disappointed.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Right?
damn it. Like, I think the last one, True North, I checked out, really loved. It's such a departure from the earlier sound. I almost pulled a Wintersorg tonight. But I did feel like I needed a little more time with it. That's why
I struggle with Wintersorg. I don't know what it is. I don't know. 108 people. Cheers. Wow. Holy crap. Good to see everybody around tonight. Seriously.
One of you knows the answer to my Exciter question. I'm waiting.
Jurgen, what happened to you? Did that last spliff knock you into night? What's going on? Chime in with the answer. You know it.
Right.
If Jurgen doesn't know it, I may. Yes, it may be a total loss.
All
I'm also
right.
actually. I'm looking at you too, Steve. This sounds like it's a question right up your alley.
Okay. Patrick, you are back.
Okay, so let's see if you guys know this one. This is Order with K-Paul Gnosis. This is a death metal band from Bangladesh. I think I found them from Ben Brain Smasher, actually.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, so they're from Bangladesh. They play this death thrash out sound. They only have one release. So I don't think they're active, but they certainly don't release albums if they are active. Primitive, old school style vocals here. There's a Merciless cover, the Merciless from Sweden. Yeah, Master, Skeletal Remains, Sepultura, that kind of just great fast riffing. It's relentless for like 42 minutes the entire time. nice dual guitar playing. Like in your left ear, you'll have this great lead or great solo, and then the right ear, you have these great rhythm riffs. Just very strong. Yeah, a little bit doomy at times, but it's mostly just relentless, thrashy death metal from Bangladesh, 2013 release. Band is called Order. K-Paul Gnosis is the name of the album.
Not to be confused with the Order from Norway.
There's a bunch of
featuring-
orders, yeah.
Yeah, featuring ex-members of Mayhem, like Mannheim on drums, and I can't remember who else from Mayhem was in that other, but they're okay. It's an okay band. But that's from Bangladesh, you said?
Yeah, Bangladesh.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
You and Rick, you guys should Wonder Twin powers activate and all the weird shit you guys spin that no one's heard of. I love it. I love it. So good. Rick.
Oh, first of all, I think Bangladesh gets a bad rep, and I'm glad you pointed that out, Patrick, because when I go to, like, I'm not gonna say where I buy some of my clothes at Walmart, but when I see Bangladesh on the labels, I feel like I just picture sweatshops and a bunch of other stuff, but there's some good metal coming out of there, and more people need to know more about it, and this is a good stream for that kind of thing to kind of
Right.
showcase some of these kind of bands coming out of there. But anyway, so this is from I just had to pull this because it's from a region that's not talked about very much, like Bangladesh, Armenia, and not counting System of a Down, pretend they don't exist, right?
No problem. Gladly.
Which I put is it's a one man thing, and it's kind of like when I say that H.P. Lovecraft kind of stuff, some people may perk their ears because I love Lovecraftian themed bands. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, I got to know more, because for some reason it's like a bait. It reels me in when I hear Lovecraft. And this is a band where we were on a stream one night and we were talking about bands that are not brought up enough, or bands not talked about. I forgot what the title was, but bands are not appreciated enough. And I pulled this out for that stream and I never got around to it. But I think that's because they only had like 2 full lengths.
That's kind of ironic given the topic that night.
Temple of Demigod. This is their last one. It's called the Onslaught of the Ancient Gods. You kind of see this creature kind of in the back here, and my problem with H.P. Lovecraft is I love the idea, I love the themes, and
My problem with H.P. Lovecraft is I'm not smart enough to read it. I've tried a bunch of words, a bunch of freaking words. I'm like, I can't even sound it out.
I love what it's about, but I can't fucking read a goddamn word.
These big thesaurus big brain words.
It's too brainy for this kind of thing.
I can't read it.
Can you like take that book, package it in the form of metal, and like maybe I can digest some of that? And here we are. Some guy in Armenia has a project called Temple of Demigod, and I don't know, like I don't hear this brought up enough. And this is such a cool. And and here's the problem: when you mention one-man bands, people are like, well, it's probably going to be lacking in whatever form. It's not going to be as substantial as like a full-fledged band. You can fool me all the time, man, because these guys like this can pull out something like this. You will never know it's a one-man act. And this is such a amazing listen. The production on not everything I listen to is raw stuff. I love that stuff too, but there are times like this where I want proper black metal. There's a little bit of the death influence side thrown in here and there, but this is again just the great old ones and this one. So the last one, this is 2019. So he's about due for another album. So I hope he drops something pretty soon, because this is some really good stuff. And again, I don't hear anybody really talk about this very much, but this is a good example of a one-man act putting out some pretty cosmic and just really out there themes and just kind of concepts, packaged it well with really good musicianship. It brings the riffs. It's nice and crunchy. The production's nice and yeah. I know if someone was gonna bring it up, it's gonna be Eric.
If it was racist, I couldn't understand the words he was using. So
I'm not talking about. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about Lovecraft the man. Just the fiction with the stories and everything else apart. But I get you. But overall, you know, I mean, like just taking the ideas between the stories and everything else that's happening here, it's kind of too brainy for my own good. But it's this is some really good stuff. And it should not be was it Soundstage Productions. I just see this around in distros. So it's not hard to find. But you know, if you see around the Temple of Demigod somewhere and you like a good mix of pretty nice, well done production, but really captivating, interesting lyrics, it's stuff that will really get you to move your head. It's not bad at all. I mean, if you like your stuff just raw, this is probably not the best place to go. But again, I can jump between both sides of things. But really good stuff. Yeah, Temple of Demigod.
never heard of it.
HP
Again.
Lovecraft. And that's why I wanted to bring it in that last stream. But I didn't.
You and Patrick are stumping the chumps tonight. I love it. All right, Alan, I'll be right back.
Good deal. All right. We'll switch up with a little new wave of British heavy metal here. This is a band I'll be featuring on my channel next week. So kind of a preview for that if folks are interested. Band with a good name and some questionable album art here. We've got the band Bitches Sin with their second and last album called Invaders. So yeah, cool name for a band. About that cover art. They're definitely, of course, playing, you know, off the screen painting. And then you got these guys in the background. Yeah, this second album came out in 86. New wave of British heavy metal was kind of done by 86. So these bands, when they got a chance to put out an album, they
when you say 86, it makes perfect sense now. I'm glad you said that.
Yes, they were on real shoestring budgets and they took what they could get. To make this even weirder, this only came out in the US in 86. This came out on the old King Classic label. It had no British release in 86. So they were getting released, you know, late in the game on a small label on a different continent. Bitches Sin has kind of an interesting, you know, short catalog, which is what I want to cover in next Tuesday's video. But yeah, the second album is actually quite good. The few new wave of British heavy metal bands that kind of struggled into the mid and late 80s, like this band and Cloven Hoof, a lot of them started to, the ones that didn't go like poofy hair, wearing a blazer and try to sound like Bon Jovi or, you know, Aha or something. The other bands started drifting more into like, you know, an early power metal sound and were actually pretty good at it. And that's exactly what you get a lot of on Invaders, is this kind of, you know, mid-80s European power metal sound, which I can, yeah, definitely vibe with. When this band was on, they were, you know, quite good. There's a lot of good songs in their catalog. They were hampered because their first album had some issues with it, we'll say. I won't go into all the details here. Again, I'll have the video up on Tuesday if you really want to know the whole rundown on it. But this particular CD pressing is nice because the album later got pressed in the UK, but it ended up with a very different track listing. And so this 2 CD set has, you know, the original 86 version released in the US. And then it also has the British version, which didn't come out until 1989. Where they had swapped out several songs. It's not just like 1 or 2 bonus tracks. It's like, I think they took off 4 songs and put in 3 brand new songs. So you get a very different listen if you hear the UK version versus the US version. Because they weren't only changing out songs, they re-recorded the whole album. It has a different lineup, for God's sake. So yeah, hearing Invaders on the GI pressing versus the King Classic pressing, both are quite good actually, but they're two very different takes on the album, separated by several years. So yeah, if you're interested to know more about the band, I'll put up a kind of a short band history on Tuesday over on Let's Talk Metal.
All right. Okay. I mentioned this. I don't know if it was Wednesday night or that might have been Wednesday night. I've had this on my iPod forever. I've been going to sleep to it at night. I love this record. I finally picked up a copy of it in Grand Rapids at Vertigo Records. Cocteau Twins, Garlands, their debut album. This is a 4AD reissue. This album rules. It is so ethereal, mystical sounding. And I people didn't agree with me, but
one reason why I like Marty so much is because he's a sad boy like me.
I am a sad boy. I can be a sad boy. That's why I try to counteract it with a lot of
Get
power
along
metal,
very
because
well.
it's a slippery slope. The sad boy shit can really. But yeah, it's kind of shoegazy, but if there's a lady singing, her voice is very dreamy sounding. The guitars, the production, it sounds like a lo-fi black metal record to me. 100%. Black metal minus the metal. Just the guitars are very distorted. It's weird. It's a weird production. It's a weird sound. It's a killer record. I love this record. So good. I have a couple of their others as well, but this one really, really sticks out as a favorite for me. But
would you
glad
say
to
that's a
finally
good
have them.
place to start, Marty? I've always meant to check out that band, but
I
never
think so.
have.
I think so. What would you say, Rick?
Yeah, that's a good one. I've not explored the whole entire catalog. I think when that stuff was coming out, I was, again, a preteen at the time. But a lot of my high school friends were into that stuff. So I was exploring it here and there. But man, that stuff was a bit of a downer for me. I feel like if I got fully into Cocteau Twins at the time, I wouldn't be here right now, man. Just telling you. Like Joy Division is enough. Like
Oh, Joy Division is another favorite band of mine. I love Joy Division. Yep. But yep, this is in that realm. Dark, mystical, sad, dreamy. It's a great record. So good. Garlands by Cocteau Twins. Check it out if you
that's
like
a great
that era.
album, though.
Yeah, that's one I need to kind of start remembering to look for in the used bin. That will show up at one of the used record stores, and when
I
he does,
never thought of the black metal connection though, but now that you mention it, holy shit!
Listen to those guitars and the feel and the atmosphere. It feels like an underground black metal record, but with really, I don't know. Listen to it differently when next time you check it out.
You just took my Saturday hostage. I'm gonna have to explore that now.
Great. We need to give you more sad bastard music to listen to. Just what we need. Yeah. But cheers, a lot like Nuclear Mutant. Hey, first time in the chat. Welcome. Good to see you. A bunch of new people. Cheers, everybody. Good to see you. 105 people still hanging with us. Joy Division rules, indeed. All right, Alan, you're up.
Oh, it is my turn. All right, then.
Wait, no. I just did Cocteau Twins. It's Patrick. Sorry.
Okay, I was going to say
I'm
felt wrong there.
starting to feel my White Claws. I didn't have any dinner tonight, so here we go.
Okay, so it's almost the midpoint of the year, right? And it's actually almost the end of the first half of this new decade. So I'm working on a like top 30, top 40 album, death metal albums of the decade so far list that I'll probably publish in, late December. This album is going to be high on that list. This is Apparition with Feel. They are a death metal band from LA. They have a new album that came out this year. It's a bit more progressive. This is, to me, just so well executed death metal. Great production, low guttural vocals. It's one of those bands that has the drummer is also the vocalist. Track 2 is my favorite song on this album, but I think the drummer is a jazz drummer, and I can hear that on this album. Heavy, great pacing, memorable songs. The chugging style reminds me of Suffocation, but they're not a brutal death metal band. But the chugging style does remind me of Suffocation. Outer Heaven is another band that, if you like Outer Heaven, you might like Apparition. But I heard a lot of people talking about the new album, but I think this is my preference for this band so far. Yeah, Simon knows what's up. So yeah, just really good death metal. Check them out. They're from LA. Yeah.
We need to make that Heavy Metallurgy T-shirt. Simon knows what's up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all it says on it. The Heavy Metallurgy logo. Yep.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Yeah, it gets. Sometimes you just need one of those like tongue in cheek, you know if you know kind of shirts. And that's perfect.
Have his little avatar popping out of a kangaroo pouch, goo and all.
Yep.
Wait,
Yep.
kangaroos are metal. Yeah, kangaroos will mess you up.
Yeah, they'll fuck you up
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Do you know this Apparition album, Rick?
Funny you mentioned that. I actually sent it to I think it was Anthony Metal Miners. I sent it as VCLT
That's cool.
at one point.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought up. That was the reason why nobody talked about that.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it was on the Decibel top 40 of 2021. I think it is. Yeah. So I did see it on that list.
And the thing is, like, even though some of these bands make that list, for some reason, because we're following the metal VC, right? We're watching everybody's content, everything else. But sometimes we're in that sort of bubble and we're watching what everybody else is talking about. So maybe that's kind of what I guess referring to.
It's on Profound Lore, so again, a known underground label, but yeah, I don't hear about them a lot either, really.
Yeah. I felt they were underappreciated, but I'm glad you brought it up because that's a great band.
Yeah,
I felt it was, and Anthony Metal Miners. That's one that was really hard to pull stuff from because that guy seems to show everything. He's on the pulse.
It's a perfect album for him though, so that's cool. That's cool
exactly.
Yeah, Anthony is the man.
All right, cheers to everybody that's new to the chat. I mean, seriously, awesome. Good to see you. Rick, you're up.
Okay. Let's move to some Hungarian black metal. And so this is a band that I'm still trying to kind of trying to catch up and get all their stuff because I love all their stuff. So this is their fourth album. Seer Bliss, Forsaken Symphony.
That's a great band. Great.
Fucking great band, man.
I've lost contact with them, but all that, I love the horns or what the hell they have. It's like it's like horns. They put they do horns on that instead of like saxophone or violin. It's cool.
I love the way they explore and try to do things with their sound.
Yeah.
Did you know they have a new album coming out late June? So I'm looking very forward to that and see what they do. The reason I brought up this one was because Phantoms, their debut, still one of my favorites. The guy who did keyboards for that is the guy behind Forest Silence. I don't know if you know that band, but his name Forest Silence, which is he goes by the name of Winter, right? If you could think of a black metal sounding name like Winter, like
how many dudes are named Winter in the black metal world?
I was thinking of changing my name to that, like Winter, like Winter Contreras. Like, Winter? Am I going to be douchey if I do that?
I love it. I love it.
No, but they've had quite a lineup change with some of their earlier stuff. But I hear with this album, you can tell this is where they really found their sound. And from here on out, they were starting to get a little more consistent with the main guy in this band. What the hell is it? Anders Andrag, something like that. He took on the keyboard duties. They had different keyboardists in the previous albums. And I feel like the keyboards were a little behind in the mix. It wasn't the hugest part of the sound. It was always there, but it was never like the biggest component. Over here, holy shit, you get a wall of sound. Like you get a wall of. I'm not saying they sound like Nightwish, but
no, they keep it underground, but well produced. It's a great band. It really is.
Yeah, it's not overwhelming. It fits with what they're trying to do. And I think here is a turning point. Andreas Nagy. There we go. Nagy. There you go. Thank you, John. That guy took over the duties of the vocals along because he was doing bass before.
What's up, Ben?
Hey, what's up, Ben?
What's the name of the album again?
This is Forsaken Symphony, which is their fourth album, if I'm not mistaken.
I have not spun those guys in a while. I've got that album and a bunch of others too, like 4 or 5 of them, but I lost contact after that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to get all their stuff because I just love everything they do. They're a very consistent band as far as quality goes. They do make some changes in the direction of the sound here and there. And the reason I pulled this one out too is because and it wasn't on purpose. I put this on and I noticed from the stuff they put out after this and going back to this, I noticed the sound from here on out is where they really found their true sound. What Sear Bliss is really what the direction they're going for, what they really are about as a band. But yeah, this came out in, I think it was 2002, something like that. The one before this one, what was it called? Shit, I can't remember.
I can go. Hold on. I can look at it. I can go get them, or I could hold on. I'll just pull it up. Sear Bliss. Sear Bliss. I have it loaded up. That one is called what? Glory and Perdition. The one before was Forsaken Symphony. Then Grand
Forsaken
Destiny.
Symphony.
Yeah, Grand Destiny.
Grand Destiny was the one before this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great album, but you can tell between this and this album there was a big change in sound and in the production, and I think it had to do with him taking over the keyboards, being kind of his prominent element. But either way, like if I were to tell people that if you're just getting to Sear Bliss in the Hungarian metal scene, this is top tier material.
Shit, I'm missing 4 of their records. I stopped at their 4th record, and they got 4 more after that. Huh? 5? No, never mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
No,
Collector Scum activated.
I could hear it in your voice. You guys
I haven't thought of that band in a while, and you showing it again got me excited because I remember really liking that band. I love the horns.
From a Collective Scum mindset, like I'm still trying to get their catalog on the rest on CD. But once I do, I'm like, I'm gonna want everything on vinyl. I'm just that fucking guy.
Good luck. Yeah.
But yeah, here we go. Sear Bliss, just a great band.
Yep. All right, Alan.
All right.
It's up, Glenn.
For me is this album came up when we had Hunter Ginn on. It's probably been a month or 2 ago now to talk about our favorite stuff from 1993.
Cheers, Hunter.
Cheers to Hunter. I hope things are going great. He's, of course, playing with Agalloch these days. And he mentioned this album. Neither Marty nor I knew it, but it sounded really interesting from his description. So I checked it out online. Really liked it. So I tracked down a copy. It's a Greek sort of death doom band named Horrified. And it's their debut album called In the Garden of Unearthly Delights.
I think I have that. I think Ben sent me that album.
Okay. Yeah, this is a later pressing of it. This is not the original cover art. The originals are, of course, really hard to find at this point. But yeah, it's very cool stuff. I guess the obvious comparison point for being a 90s Greek death doom kind of atmospheric act would be like early Septic Flesh. So, it's kind of, in that vein. Hunter, gave this, very interesting description of it as having this kind of very warm, kind of Mediterranean sound, which is a little bit of a head scratcher. But when you listen to it, you really do hear what he was, trying to convey with that description. It's actually a very good description of the album. Those Greek bands, whether they're black metal or, again, this, fits in that 90s atmospheric death doom kind of vibe very nicely. Those bands are always very, very good at giving their music this kind of very big, somewhat sound of antiquity. It has this just very historical weight to it, which kind of makes sense given the depth of their culture, and it really comes through on these musics. It sounds like something that's kind of old but at the same time rather timeless. The album's kind of divided up into a very particular pattern. You get like a short like instrumental interlude kind of track, and then 2 songs, and they repeat that pattern. So you have 6 quote unquote real songs interspersed with these 4 shorter instrumentals. The instrumentals actually work extremely well in this case. They're not just like 1-minute throwaways. Each one is very distinct. They have some really good music in those parts. And they really kind of help pace the album so that the quote unquote regular songs don't just start to run together on you. There are some parts of it here and there that are a little rough around the edges. It's their first album. That sort of early 90s Greek scene is kind of infamous for being a little bit light on resources when it came to studios and finding lots of musicians who were into the same kind of stuff. Sometimes these bands had to cobble things together a bit. But they still came out, with some amazing stuff. And I was really, really impressed with this album. It was a little bit of a pain to find a copy of this, but after I played it online a few times, I'm like, I really do want to pick that up. So I kept digging until I found one. Have not checked out anything else from the band's catalog, so I don't know, what they went on to. They did a couple more albums after this one, but I'll have to investigate those in the future sometime. So yeah, big thank you to Hunter for bringing this one up and recommending it. He said he thought it's something that, Marty and probably I would also like, and he is absolutely right, as he usually is when it comes to such things. So yeah, if you like 90s atmospheric doom death metal, this stuff was pretty popular at the time. Horrified, I think, really slipped through the cracks, being a smaller band from, a smaller market, not having the big distribution. But I would definitely recommend checking it out if you like that style of music, and especially if you like those Greek bands and the way they tend to convey stuff. Horrified in the Garden of Unearthly Delights.
I'm glad you said that, because they might be confused with that UK band. Allure of the Fallen's one of my really good album, and that's death metal band.
Mm-hmm.
But people might see that and might think it's the same band, but it's
I did that. Yeah, when I was looking up stuff about them, that band came up first. I'm just like, oh, is this a different album by the same band? And I got to look and I was like, no, this is not the same band, and I had to back out and
just
go
the
down
problem
a
with
different path.
with the one word name bands. Like, you're gonna run into that problem.
Yep, especially when it's a word like that, which you just know other bands are going to. Someone else on this planet is going to land on that same particular word for a band name.
All right. Well, I held out. I wanted the new Verathron. I didn't want to buy just the CD because I've got a lot of the other stuff on vinyl. Well, finally the vinyl is landed on the shore. So Verathron, the Crimson Temple came out last year.
Yep, late 2023.
Yep, late 2023, and it's Verathron. It's great. It's traditional Greek black metal. It's got that vibe, and doesn't matter who's in the band. Necrobissos is still on vocals, and whoever he has, the guitar players, whoever's doing the songwriting, they understood the assignment, and they wrote a Verathron record, and it's a great record. It's on Agonia Records. Hell's Headbangers got copies of them in. I snagged it because I've been wanting this ever since I heard it when I was harvesting clips for Melanie's review on Heavy Metallurgy. Go check it out. It's great. It's great. Ever since this band rekindled and started moving forward, I think Stygian Forces of Scorn was the first album they got when they got back together. I love that record. It's great. But every record has been really, really good. Really well done. Seriously. I have no problem with this band. And I love the, was it Girardi? I can't remember the guy's name. God, Pablo Girardi. I don't know.
Pablo Girardi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Killer artwork. I've got another record in my stack here coming up that's another Pablo Girardi. Well, maybe I'll show that next. But, yep. Great record. There's a reason why it hit a lot of year-end lists last year, because it's a solid Greek black metal record. Way better than Rotting Christ. Sorry.
Yeah.
It just is. Hey, all right. Thanks, Joyce Solvo, for offering us promotion for our channel, viewers, followers, etc. Man, I'm going to sign right up with that. Thanks for jumping on Twitch, and I'm glad we have Twitch. There's 3 people watching on Twitch, and one of them is a spam guy. But anyway.
Yeah. But one of them's also sometimes Mike, so that's cool.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, that Verathon is great. I think it would have been even higher on a lot of year-end lists, but it came out so late in the year, some people didn't get to hear it, or like I only got to hear it a handful of times by the time I had to put a list together. But yeah, it's a fantastic album.
Yep. A lot of great Greek bands, and eventually we're going to get into the Greek stuff. I know it might be a little hard pull for me and Alan, but we have a guest, hopefully, that should send us down a rabbit hole of good stuff.
Yes.
But
yeah, Greek black metal is a topic that's kind of floating backstage and will happen sooner or later.
But Patrick,
all right,
you're back.
So this is a little bit different for me. This is Cruel Force from Germany.
Well, that's a good band.
Their 2010 album called The Rise of Satanic Might.
Yep.
Their newer stuff, they're a bit more speed metal, clean vocals. I don't love that new album that they put out. I think it was last year, but this is their debut album. Yeah, for fans of early Bathory, Creator, Razor, Venom, stuff like that. Tracks 4, Leather and Metal, Necromancy. Those are my 2 favorite tracks on this. But cool cover art. They always have good, great cover art. Shadow Kingdom Records. They come with like a pull-out poster. All 3 of them do, actually. All 3 of their albums do. But yeah, just killer blackened thrash speed metal combination here from Germany.
Yeah, that stuff can be quite fun. Sometimes those bands have a little trouble differentiating themselves from one another, but the good bands are always, really good and really fun.
All right, Rick.
All right. So I decided to revisit some classic metal, more in the doom vein. Not shocking. So Mercy from Sweden, and this is a bit of their comeback album, Victory March. Don't know how big of a Mercy fans you guys are.
Is that the same Mercy that had Messiah Marcolin?
Exactly. I think he was in the first 2.
Yeah, first
album,
iteration of it. Yeah.
before he joined my, and then so they had a guy after him. I think it was called Rick Wine. And then here, so they took a long hiatus in the 90s, and they came back in the 2000s. I think it was 2002 with this one, Victory March. The issue was that, well, by 2002, people like myself, especially this particular generation, were not looking for bands like this.
No.
This was not the kind of thing. I know some other bands were also trying to come back, and like Manila Road, I think is probably a good example of one of those kind of bands that were trying to took a bit of a hiatus. It came back in their own kind of way, but the music scene has changed quite a bit. Limp Bizkit happened, Korn happened,
And they're happening again.
Yeah, they are.
This
Oh
still
my
happening.
God.
We're at about that
Better or
30-year
worse,
point.
mostly
It's
worse.
coming up where things, 30 years tends to be a good number for the nostalgia to really kick in.
It's like we were thrived in the 80s. What can go wrong? The 90s happened, and then we got bands like this who were latching on to this kind of old sound, and then you got guys like this from Sweden, and and the thing about this is they came back in a way where they did not change their sound. The problem was that at the time, this was not what the general, especially when you're looking for new metal, the new metal heads in the scene, we're not looking for this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am revisiting a lot of this kind of stuff and finding a newfound appreciation for it. And it's good. When I say it's great, I wouldn't say it's great. But and I felt like this band was a little cursed from the beginning. It's kind of like when you buy somebody a Mercedes as their first car, and then after that, are you going to go back to a Ford? Are you going to go back? So, you know what I mean? And my issue with this is it's not a bad album, but the production implies it needs to sound grander than it really is. The vocalist on it, again, it's a guy that's not very well known in the scene. Where is it? Yeah. Anders Strandberg. Right here. The reason I point out the vocalist specifically is because this band is known for Messiah.
Sure.
Being in the band. And we know how grandiose that guy is. Probably my favorite vocalist in Candlemass. Here we are with Mercy, and we got this guy who has kind of added this filter. And by the year 2002, I mean, the musical production style has changed. People have found new techniques to do stuff. And they're making it sound like it's this big stage, gigantic thing. If you took all those elements away, where does it really lie? That's what kind of left me in question with this particular release and the state of heavy metal at its time. I felt like this album was a bit cursed before it even arrives. Just because the unfortunate period they decided to come back from after that long hiatus. And I think the guitar player passed away not too long after this. One of the members. So they released one more album after this, and they pretty much called it quits. But I think this is a really good what you call it, timestamp of the Swedish metal scene during this period. I do enjoy. I always go back to the first two with Messiah, of course, but I have a bit of an appreciation that the band decided to keep going, despite losing a prominent member on this. So if you see this around, would I pay $16 for it? Probably not, or whatever the inflationary costs for CDs are nowadays, which is stupid. But if you see it used somewhere around, definitely pick it up. So yeah, this one's Victory March. It retains a lot of the '80s sound, which for better or worse, I like that they kept true to their roots, but they were just a fish out of their element for the period of the early 2000s when this thing dropped at a time. But here we are in 2024, kind of moving back to this sound. We have a new generation of metalheads, and I think if they were to revisit this, they would really believe this came out in the 80s. So, yeah.
Right on.
Because it's good stuff. Is a Messiah? No, but I'm glad they tried to continue and do something different, regardless. Nevertheless, but
Yep. There is life after Messiah. Just ask Candlemass.
Yep. Exactly. Well, they had Johan in that first album, which is kind of unfair advantage, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
They always landed on pretty good singers.
Yeah. All right, Alan.
Yeah, cool pick, Rick. I've never checked out that later Mercy stuff. The ones with Messiah are fun. But
I think you would like it. I would highly recommend it. Someone in your, I guess, demographic.
yeah. It definitely has my name written on it there somewhere. We'll get to it one day. Next up for me, not too much to say about this one. Autopsy, Skull Grinder. I still have some glaring holes in my Autopsy
too. I have
catalog.
a few holes. Yep.
And but Autopsy for me is one of those bands when they're on, they're amazing. Every now and then there's one that I just can't connect to, or that's it seems like a misfire. This one I found on sale somewhere, so it was only like $8 or something. I was like, okay, I don't know it, but for that price, I'll certainly give it a chance. Really good. I like it quite a bit. It's a bit odd in that it's very short.
I think it's an EP. It's an EP.
Yeah, 7 songs, and some people list it as an EP, and some people list it as a full length, and it seems to be like right there on the boundary. But at 27 minutes, it does feel like it should be an EP, but 7 songs is an awfully lot of tracks for an EP. So I don't know what the heck to label it as, but bottom line, it's very, very good Autopsy material. Nothing outside their wheelhouse, but you wouldn't expect it to be. So yeah, if you need 7 songs and 27 minutes of really solid Autopsy, and like me, you missed this one, it's definitely worth picking up. So yep, just a cool Autopsy find, right within their idiom. Nothing unusual there. So I'll keep that one nice and short and pass it over to Marty.
I'm glad that came out though, because at a time, the albums that came out after that one kind of showed Autopsy are still a very consistent band. They took a bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
And
they have their own sound.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I guess I should point that out too, Rick. That this was the last thing. This was the last new material I think they released for a while there.
Yeah.
Where there wasn't, because that came out in 2015 with Skull Grinder, and you didn't have a full length album until 2022. It looks like there's one EP there in the middle. Puncturing the Grotesque is like the only other like new material that came out in that 7-year window. But yeah, you're right. They came back and it still sounds like Autopsy.
And most people don't know, like Chris Ryford, he's got like 1,000 things going on, like a bunch of other projects alongside. That's probably the reason for that too.
Yeah, he does. Deathgrave is one of his projects.
Which I love. Greg Wilkinson, I think, one of the guys involved in that.
Go check out Chris's interview over on Gas Mask and Hand Grenades. Our friend Jeff, he put out a good interview with Chris.
Yeah, it was good.
I interviewed him for Maniacs back in the day during the Ravenous era, I think it was. But yep, good guy. And I guess I'm up next. Rick
You are.
mentioned
My
Manila
cat
Road.
is staring at me through the window, so I'm going to go see what the heck it's doing. I'll be back.
Rick mentioned Manila Road, and gotta show this one. Century debut album, self-titled. This is Life After Mark Shelton. It's basically the lineup for Manila Road minus Mark, of course, and it has what's his name, Eric Kaldschmidt. He's from Germany, and he is also in the band Jameson Raid on guitar. And basically, stylistically, this feels like the spiritual successor to Kill a King by Manila Road. But there's like a moment where there's a blast beat on here. So, I mean, they're obviously not completely following the... There's another Pablo Girardi artwork. He was doing stuff for Manila Road up the last few albums leading up to.
It doesn't look like his typical kind of art, though.
Yeah, it is a little
I can
different.
see his style.
It's a
but
little
it's not-
different, but yeah, it's him, but it's definitely a little bit cleaner, to be honest. But this record is really good. Brian Hellrody Patrick on vocals. You've got Collie Goldsmith on guitar, Phil Ross, the bass player, and Nudie on drums, who is also the drummer for Jameson Raid. He's been in Manila Road for years now. He is a crushingly great drummer. Absolutely great drummer. This record, it's got some mellow moments to it. It's got some more energetic moments to it. It sounds a lot, and this Cali guy is actually, you can tell he's kind of trying to channel Mark a little bit in his style, in his playing. But, man, this is a great record. For a debut, they're moving forward. I don't blame them. They could have called themselves Manila Road. That could have been a lame thing to do, I guess. But they could have. It's the same lineup, but other than Mark, of course, but who is Manila Road. But they started a new band, and you can tell they could probably pull off some Manila Road just perfectly fine live. So you're not going to be, if you see them live, you're not going to be hearing just the album. I would imagine you're going to hear some classics as well. But this album's great. I got it from the band on Bandcamp. I think they're all sold out at this point. But this is a High Roller Records. They're on High Roller Records. I'm a Manila Road fan, and this is great. It's great, and they did exactly what I expected them to do. And the music is solid. It's mournful at times. You can tell they're processing the death of a friend when some of these songs were written. I mean, the last song on the album is called Funeral. And Valkyrie's Rise of the Hammers. There's just a lot of tribute. This album feels kind of like a tribute to Mark feel to me. I don't know if that was the indication, but it's what it feels like. It's a great record. I really enjoy it. It's going to be on my year-end list for sure. So Century, debut record. Definitely a nod to
Manila
Road.
recommend for you, Marty. I don't know if when was the last time you've been on Senchi and Ruin, but they have a record by a band called The Shadow. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it kind of reminds me of if Manila Road had King Diamond.
Right.
It has that feel to it. I think you would dig them. They have one of the releases in the store as we speak. I feel like you would really. It's just called The Shadow.
I skipped that one, of course.
Did you? Yeah, it's a more that classic, more trad metal.
It's a cool cover. I remember that. It's a cool cover art.
Really cool production, but it doesn't fit the typical Senchi and Ruin kind of lineup. That's why I thought it stood out. But I figured if there's anything Marty would probably dig in that roster of stuff they have on board, probably be something like that. The Shadow.
Right on. I'll check it out. The Shadow. And Jurgen, I mean, this Nudie, what a great drummer. He's always been a great drummer. Wow. He seems like a really nice guy too. Really fun. Good guy to party with, I'm sure. But where would you start? Okay, David, Heavy Metallurgy, where would you start with Manila Road for a newbie that likes power metal? I mean,
Logic.
Crystal Logic is the easy answer.
Yep.
I also really like Mystification. I really like Atlantis Rising, although that's a little bit more modern. That's when they got back together.
Yeah. Open the Gates.
Open the Gates.
I like
Deluge.
I like the harsh vocal moments too. That's why I like Atlantis Rising. It has a little bit of both worlds to it. if you like both styles.
Yep. Really, they have the only shit album that they ever really put out to me was Circus Maximus, but that was supposed to be a Mark solo project, but you know,
don't start there. Probably don't start with Courts of Chaos either.
don't start with Invasion either. It's a street rock record.
Yeah, it's a cool record, but it doesn't sound like the rest of their catalog, so it wouldn't be a good introduction at all.
No, but yeah, Crystal Logic is a safe bet. It's got a lot of classics on it.
Yeah,
and it's the Manila Road trademark sound for sure.
Yeah.
That's another one, Patrick, you need to investigate. Halloween, Manila Road. You better be taking notes.
I'll do it.
You gotta shake out some of that brutality a little bit there.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right.
I'm just like, how long is this stream? How long is this laundry list?
Look, I said that I was in a hip hop mood in the dugout, so
yep.
I can pull those out if I run out. So
right on, you sure can.
I have been listening to it. So next up, this is The Temple with their self-titled album. This features members of Ulcerate. It actually has the current guitarist, bassist, and vocalist of Ulcerate, and then it has their original vocalist on drums on The Temple here. Bands from New Zealand. This came out on Profound Lore. So it does sound like Ulcerate, which is one of my favorite bands, so that's fine for me. But more probably less technical, more blackened, more groove. There's a couple of bass drops on here that I didn't expect. Yeah, just
bass drops. Say what you want. They kind of crush when they hit the right time. It's like, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's like 2 bass drops on here that just are crushing. Other bands, maybe if you like Altars, Golgotha and Remains. But if you like Ulcerate and you can't get enough of their stuff because they're not that prolific, check out The Temple. Exactly, Nate. There is a new Ulcerate album this year, but The Temple, very, very, very good. Black/death, post-black maybe at times as well, but check out The Temple.
Patrick's killing it. I don't think he's pulled one record I've heard of tonight. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
There's a Greek doom band called The Temple. I guess it's not the same one.
Not the same one, no.
But
that's what I thought it was. He was showing it first. Yeah, Rick.
Right.
Yeah, that's a different band.
Cool.
Cytotoxin and also Devourment has some sick bass drops on their last album. Really, with a good stereo system in a vehicle, it hits pretty hard. It's pretty cool. Anyway, Rick.
All right. This band will be very familiar to a lot of you, and this is their 10th album, and they've only formed in 2017. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like a Mega Millions or Powerball, where when it hits $1 billion, you're like, I'm just gonna buy a ticket. And whenever they drop an album, oh, okay, because I'm picking up another albums. I don't want to, but I do because there's something very alluring about Trevor Church, and it's the latest Haunt. And
that's got 100 records, don't they?
God damn it, that guy.
100 fucking records. I don't even want to listen to their shit because they got too much stuff. It's like I don't need to go down that road. I already have problems.
I gotta say, it's Pringles, man. You can't just buy one. This is Dreamers. I think it dropped, was it March, something like that. And this guy, he's the reason why I'm not going to retire. He's stealing my 401k. This guy, what the hell, man? So I got into him when the Beastmaker stuff was coming out, which I do kind of prefer because I'm more of a doom-oriented kind of guy. But I love classic heavy metal too, and I don't know what it is, but it's just he'll put stuff out, and my brain just shuts off, and I get stupid. It's not because of the wine. I don't need wine for this. I just get stupid anyway. And if I can just pick up his stuff, and here we are with Dreamers. But I gotta say, with this particular release, I do notice that his songwriting is getting stronger. There's quite a bit of maturity. If you go from the first 2-3 albums, you're not gonna notice it as much. But if you go from the first record, even Mind Freeze, go from there to this, you're gonna notice quite a bit of a difference. I didn't notice it right away because I was picking up fucking everything this guy was putting up. But here we are with Dreamers, and I gotta say, Trevor, if you're watching, You don't need to put something out every 6 months. As a matter of fact, please don't. I want to retire someday.
I'll retire when I drop dead, when the bolt of lightning from hell hits me.
Complete with a cover. You know that band Real Life? It's like that song, Send Me an Angel.
Right now.
There it
Right
is.
now.
Like he's got a cover.
Oh no. Why?
All
No.
heavy metaled out.
Oh no.
So it's not terrible, but if that song is glued to your head, it will be annoying because you're gonna just hear the Real Life version, that Australian band. But I noticed the progression. Am I gonna say start with this album? Probably not. I would say start with the first EP, maybe Mind Freeze. It's got I like a bit of the rawness and the attitude behind it, but regarding this, like I think it's probably the most mature effort to date, and I like the way he's developing with his sound. But I feel like, hey man, like maybe put out a little demo here and there, stuff like that. You don't need to put out full-fledged albums every time, because people like me will just buy your stuff, and you don't want more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think your argument's going to convince him, Rick. You might have to work on that a little.
All right. That's why I don't work in marketing.
So I'm going to assume that this is the Z play out live with Haunt.
I don't ever see them come around. They're from Fresno, right?
I don't know. It seems like a band that's that prolific typically does not play live much, if at all.
Because he's too busy in the studio recording shit. Like, stop it.
Yep.
Please.
Right.
And he does. You know what I mean? How many are watching tonight? I'm going to admit, like, how much Trevor shit you got in your collection? Admit it.
I got 0.
And Corey's got Corey understands.
VCLT for Marty.
There you go.
So Classy Lonnie, like,
don't get me started on that band. Damn it.
Classy Lonnie's like, I'm not gonna buy any Beastmaker stuff because he knows his addiction very well. I made the mistake. I sent him a Beastmaker record, and I think I sent him on a very bad paraphernalia course of Trevor Church shit.
Yeah. Yep.
It happened. I'm that guy. I'm the drug peddler.
Enabler. Yep.
Hey man, join us.
To get a Collector Scum t-shirt, go click the link in the description and you'll head right to the merch.
Is he reinventing the wheel? No. But when you call like a modern, that retro sounding heavy metal, like he does a good job. Does he have the best voice? Does he play the absolute best riffs ever? No, but he plays a little bit of everything, but he does it really well. I think that's the appeal of this kind of stuff that he's putting out. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Shut up and take my money, and I wish that wasn't the case.
Alan.
See,
who knows a little something about Sick Little Monkey himself right there, that guy.
Indeed. And James, I've only heard the New Traveler once or twice. I haven't really got an opinion on it yet, but I'll need to check that out a little more. But I haven't spun it enough to show it tonight. So instead, we'll show this. I've been revisiting a little bit of sort of early 80s black metal, and figured why not just go back to where it all began, more or less. Venom, Welcome to Hell. Not a lot I need to say about this. Folks know who Venom are and what they did and all the stuff they spawned. I will say black metal, their second album, tends to be the one that gets the most attention just because of the name alone. But the first album should not at all go overlooked. Yes, is it a lot rougher around the edges? Maybe. Who cares? It's Venom. It's supposed to sound rough around the edges. It's not supposed to sound slick and polished or anything. Absolutely great debut album. It's it really sets the groundwork for what black metal could build on. You've already got the classic pictures of the band on the back. You've already got the crazy over the top song titles, and it's a really, really strong list of songs on this one. All of these are classics. You've got the font on the back of this is a really annoying font. I hate it when they do this kind of
the outline shit.
Yeah, can't read anything. But Welcome to Hell is great. You've got Sons of Satan. You've got, good Lord, these are hard to read. One of my favorites, "Live Like an Angel, Die Like a Devil," was also
Place in hell reserved for me.
Yep, exactly. Angel Dust, another classic, from early
Great
on.
song.
A really deep cut that I've always loved since the first time I heard the album is "Poison." That
Oh,
one
it's a
was
great song.
That is a ripping
Dirty
song.
little bitch has got me poisoned.
Yeah, that is just really solid. And that's the thing. All the tracks on here, "Schizo" is another deep one that doesn't get mentioned much, and that song, absolutely slaps. Track for track, it's every bit as good as black metal for my money. It just doesn't. Sometimes I feel like this is one we could have mentioned when we talked about albums that live in the shadow of other albums. Black metal's got the name. Sure, it's the first time somebody slaps those two words together and realize they taste great together. But Welcome to Hell, song for song, absolutely fantastic. And hey, if you're one of those folks like Frosty who really gets thrown off by Teacher's Pet being right in the middle of black metal, you don't have that problem here. I'm fine with Teacher's Pet, but some folks really dislike that song on that album. You've got other kind of sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Going sleazy tracks on here for sure, like Red Light Fever and stuff. But not maybe as tongue in cheek as Teacher's Pet was.
I always liked Teacher's Pet. I liked it.
I like it. I think it's
Yeah, me too. I like that.
the reason I like it, and I saw it in a review recently, and that's the phrase I've always wanted for it. It's the X-rated version of Van Halen's Hot for Teacher.
Yeah, totally.
And that's perfect. It's everything I ever wanted when I was 11 years old watching that video.
I'm glad you said that because, growing up in a Catholic household, that has all the tropes of everything that's a big giant no-no.
This was the poster they hung up to try to scare you.
Yeah,
sure.
like Welcome to Hell has no subtle meanings. I can't translate it to anything else. I can't say it's about spiritual enlightenment or anything like that. It's like it says Welcome to Hell. What the hell do you think it is?
Yep. The back cover has literally we drink the vomit of the priests and sit at Lord Satan's left side. Probably not being included, in the seminary, lesson plan for next Sunday.
Hey, Phil, good to see you. Give me a call when you get home, you beautiful bastard.
Yes, Phil, you're always welcome. Just when you've got a topic and a free Friday, just let us know. We'll make it happen.
We have another matter of stuff to take care of as well that we need to finish up.
A
painful matter, yes.
To deal with. That's for the future.
But that's such a that's such a classic album. Like I feel like we got new metalheads coming in all the time. I got my nephew and people like this, and those are the kind of albums that you kind of have to keep on the forefront because don't forget where a lot of the stuff they listen to now has come from.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right. And a great example of that, and something that Patrick showed earlier, is I forget which one you showed, Patrick, but the whole wave of blackened thrash stuff that's very popular these days. That's all bands trying to do this more. Obviously with some newer, more modern touches to it and modern productions. They're all trying to do the first couple of Venom albums. And a lot of them, again, do it well, and it's fun. I'm not saying it in a negative way, but it's not just, Norway that, spawned off of this. That whole wave of black and thrash stuff in recent years, that's Venom. That's total Venom worship. For Venom, for all their limitations and, egos and stuff like that, they have, influenced and spawned so many different bands and strands of heavy metal. It's mind-boggling. And
they also show that sloppy playing can be cool.
Yeah. Who needs timing? Who needs a drummer that knows what a meter and timing is? God.
You do not have to go to music school to play this music.
Not at all.
You watch that 7 Dates of Hell video with Abaddon is struggling to stay in time. He's just a mess. But they're so used to playing that way. It's their sound. It's their thing. Yep.
It works indeed.
Crappy drummer. Holy crap. Anyway. Here we go. Crapadon. Yep. All right. Yep. Another Vertigo Records acquisition. I got the new Mork. How do you pronounce this thing? It is Dypet, Dypet. You know what? I'm a big Norwegian black metal fan. I just am. And this band, along with Tolka, are two Norwegian bands that have kept flying the banner of true Norwegian black metal when a lot of the other bands went proggy or they went like this modern death metal stuff or just kind of got really lame. I mean, this band and Tolka are the two that really, and there's others as well. Javel and some other bands as well are really, really great stuff. What the hell's the name of that? I don't know. I'm drunk at the moment. I can't remember. But yep, picked this up. I'm late to it. This came out last year on Peaceville. It's solid. It's one guy, Erickson. I can't remember his first name. Last name's Erickson. But well written, well composed Norwegian black metal. Some cool synth stuff going on. He keeps doing things that maintain his sound, but move the ball forward a little bit more synth textures, some interesting twists in the songwriting. I don't know. It's a solid band. It's a one man thing, but he puts a band together to go play live. And I think they just played Maryland Death Fest, didn't they? Anyway, great band. I enjoy the hell out of this band. I'm slowly getting all their stuff. I think I'm only 1 or 2 records away. Yeah, Jevel's stuff is great, Zachary, and trying to find that crap stateside that doesn't cost $1,000. Oh my God. It needs to be, I've been listening to it, all of it on streaming services. I love it, but I need to buy copies and it's just, I just hate paying the price from overseas. But anyway, Mork, Norwegian band, check it out.
Yeah, I only gave that album one spin. I should probably revisit it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it, but
Yeah.
just didn't go back to it.
Right on.
I never hear any bad thing about it too. Like, and I don't know what it is, so why it's not mentioned more. Like, what label is that on?
Peaceville.
Right.
You right? You would think there would be a lot more exposure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't get it.
All right,
Good
so
band.
how many more are we showing here? How many more
Where are
we
you
got?
at, Patrick?
I
How many
got-
do you have that you want to?
I have a couple.
I got
Two
a
or
bunch.
three.
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3, so we can do 2 or 3 more. Well, let's do maybe 3 more rounds and call it there.
3 sounds good. All right. So I saw someone in the chat mention carcass bands, carcass worship bands. So it's pretty good timing because. So this is Anatomical Amusements with Corporeal Kaleidoscope. It's actually the same guy from Pharmacist, but in this project, there's an actual drummer on it as opposed to a drum machine. I like Pharmacist better, but I like that there's a real drummer on this one. Yeah, so it's Carcass Worship. It's a combination of the Symphonies era and Heartwork. A little bit of Arch Enemy sneaks in here, but yeah, I just love Pharmacist, so I was excited to check this out, and it is pretty solid. Carcass Worship. Do you all have a favorite Carcass Worship band?
I haven't checked out many of them, so I'll have to pass on the question.
Recently, a Pharmacist is it.
Yeah, I know, right? I like General Surgery a lot.
Oh yeah, General Surgery for sure.
Yeah.
One of the earlier ones. Yeah.
Right.
Boy, on the spot, I can't think right off the top of my head other than General Surgery, but that County Medical Examiners is
Right.
kind of fun, you know.
Yeah.
And the CD I have actually is a scratch and sniff, and it does smell like shit.
Nice.
It's crazy. The CD, it says scratch and sniff. You scratch, it smells like a corpse. It's bad. It's not good.
You
couldn't
can
believe-
see Marty's reaction on an old episode of Heavy Metallurgy if you don't believe
I
him.
couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. I'm
He
like,
tested
really?
this
I
live
scratched it
and
like, whoa,
regretted his choice.
crazy.
David said Exhumed. It's always a good choice, Exhumed, for sure.
Exhumed, great choice for
Great
sure.
choice.
Although I never listen to them anymore. God, I haven't spun that band in a while.
I like their new album. It was good. It's good.
They're a
I
great
see their
band.
stuff around, but yeah, I've never checked that. I've never checked out Exhumed, but their stuff is always
If you ever
around here.
check the Zooms alive, they're just great. They got all the things to keep you kind of entertained going on at the same time. They're just a great live band. Matt Harvey knows what he's doing.
Amerigo says Fluids. I would say Fluids are. I don't consider that a Carcass Worship band, but it's an interesting choice.
I have not heard Fluids. I'm so behind it. And there's another go over to Explosive Action. Simon just did a humongous Carcass Worship band video here a month ago.
Oh, that's right. Mhm.
Very, very good video for sure. So
Shout outs to Hemorrhage, also a good choice there. Fester Decay.
Fester
Yeah, that's
Decay.
pretty good, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
right?
Fluids is more mortician, as Nate says in the chat. They also add like weird hip hop elements, to be honest, and that was very unexpected.
Hell yeah! All right,
Cool.
Rick, Whiny McWinerson, what you got?
This is an interesting project. So this is I guess it's a one-man thing, which originated from Norway, and ended up moving to your neck of the woods, Marty, out in Michigan.
Oh, I just thought one thing.
Yeah.
Disgrace. Gray Misery is another carcass
Yeah.
worship band. I
Ah.
fucking love that. That just popped into my head. Disgrace, Gray Misery. Anyway, sorry.
I'm glad
Rick.
you brought up Disgrace, because it's amazing when Carcass released the first two albums, like how quickly those bands came in and created
Yeah.
these worship albums. Like right after, that's how much of an influence these guys, even way back in the day, these guys had on these bands.
Yep.
You know,
God, on that Gray Misery, My Dark Paradise. What a great fucking song. Anyway, go ahead.
so here's one I have not spun in a while, but I forgot how much I enjoyed this kind of material. Yeah, so I guess he goes by Jack D. Ripper. That's his name. Morgul.
Look at
The
that
hor-
cover.
The horror grandeur.
It looks
You're
like
gonna-
a early 2000s cover.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be far off. It definitely fits in that time period. This is kind of like when we started this. I think Alan, you kicked off with Abysmal, right? Abysmal Grief, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's kind of like take Abysmal Grief, a little bit of Cradle of Filth, and kind of enwrapped in kind of in that kind of style, but not overly cheesy and not overly annoying. Like we all know Danny Filth. We all have a sort of level of tolerance. We have with that kind of vocal. He doesn't go there, right? So it's very, very palatable stuff. Again, I would say, but this is a period during this band. It's kind of like even with this, he's a little more over the top than the earlier releases. There's more synth going on. There's more experimentation. It even sounds like he's going for a more of a, I don't know what the word is, more
We're
of a circus, but like a horror circus kind of thing going on with the theme going on. You can tell from the title.
So it's an episode of Sex in the City?
Sex in the City, if it had like corpse paint. And
I refuse to conjure that mental image.
more spider webs, like it just but it's a fun listen. I can't complain about the production. It's actually done pretty tastefully for what it is. And albums like this, I kind of like revisiting that early 2000s period. For a lot of us who are old, in some way, now you guys started out the stream and you guys put me in that old guy category. So I guess I'm in the club. That'll be including you, Patrick. and this would fit that kind of thing. It would fall in the category of the nostalgia. And I think had I discovered this before Cradle of Filth, I would have definitely latched on more to this kind of sound than something like Cradle of Filth. I'm not saying they sound like Cradle of Filth, but you can hear there's some elements of their sound that's kind of incorporated into here. It's not proper like Mork, what Marty was showing. It doesn't have that kind of direction of black metal directly, but you can hear a little bit of that. You can tell this guy did not originate from the US. You can tell, even though he's based in Detroit now, but he has a lot of Norwegian influence. You can hear early Dimmu Borgir in this. Okay. The cover.
I liked that comment from Ryan Post. That was pretty good.
The cover is not selling it. I get it. I got that's really on the cheap. And that's probably why. This is one of those things we're sitting around because the cover is not goddamn selling it. People are going to overlook this. And I took a chance, and I gotta say, I actually enjoyed it for what it was. I love Abysmal Grief, but Abysmal Grief when they're more on their darker, harsher sounding side, not the doomier side. It kind of has that style, but with the elements of Cradle of Filth, but without the over the topness that the cartoon up to the absurd cartoonish level that they can get to. It doesn't quite get to that level, so it's a little more even keeled. I guess I could say. So it took me a few spins to finally figure out if this is something I could really get into. I don't know their whole catalog. The album before this one, it's not as over the top as this one is. But even that said, it's got it's got some amusement to it. But you're still strongly rooted in the Norwegian scene, if that makes any sense. But again, if you're looking for something, I would say if you're looking for something that's Norwegian inspired, but not too weird, like Ishan stuff, or progressive, but still trying to have a little bit of fun and experimental, give Morgul a try. I would say, I don't know, I can't speak on the later material, but this right here, I had a blast. I gotta admit, I did have a blast listening to it. I love this album. The horror grandeur.
I like James's point in the chat that at least it ain't AI. At least that cover's not AI.
Okay.
Right.
Logan, did you listen to it? Check it out. Maybe I'll send it to you, man. VCLT.
All right, Alan.
All right. Another non-metal one that's made it into rotation for the first time in a long time. And I've actually, I really enjoyed this. It's held up well. I wasn't that worried that it wouldn't hold up. I just hadn't played it in forever. We've got Sisters of Mercy, Floodland.
Great album.
Yeah, it is a great album. It's widely hailed as one of the real sort of hallmarks of 80s goth, and rightfully so. It makes sense. I just hadn't gone back to Sisters of Mercy very much in recent years. I picked up a cheap copy of A Slight Case of Overbombing a while back, and enjoyed that. But I finally felt like, okay, let's give this another spin too. And it still sounds really good. I had forgot, kind of how, to a certain degree, dancey Sisters of Mercy is. A lot of times when we think about goth music today, we tend to think, the very, heavy, emotional, post-whatever style. And we kind of forget that, in the 80s, goth music was club music.
Yeah.
It was very much meant for people to, get up and move to.
Yep.
Well,
when you listen to those first Ministry albums, this sounds nothing like that stuff now. Like even later on.
Yeah.
Stuff.
You listen to this like, okay, yes, it's dark and moody and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it was not, sit in your bedroom and cry music. It was, I guess, get on the dance floor and cry music. Have to be careful you don't get the floor slippery with your tears, but whatever. The only thing that throws me off, with this album a little bit is, the songs do tend to run pretty long. It's like 10 songs and it's a full hour, no bonus tracks or anything. It's not a huge problem, but some of those songs, it feels like they could have compacted them down a little bit. But you get the sense once again that, the idea was you want to keep people dancing, so you just kind of let the main beat repeat itself for a couple of extra minutes, and a lot of that was this was music that was meant to have loops or not really samples, but it was okay. Program the drum machine, just let it keep running its thing. It didn't have to be, a 3-minute hit song. It could be a, 6.5-minute dance song for that particular subculture. So I wouldn't mind if the album was a little shorter. There's not really a song I would take off of it necessarily. The song, and they do mix up the songs. It's not just one dancey after another. Some of them are a little more quiet. Some of them are, go in a more of acoustic direction. Some of them have a lot more atmosphere than others do. So they mix it up quite well across the album. It can just, by the time you play through the whole thing, it's just like, yep, good album, but it definitely took a while to get to the end of it. But it has held up really well, which I was glad to see. Sometimes those albums, you revisit them and they just don't quite click.
So influential, though. Like, so many people use that as kind of a template from there on as far as what they were doing. I know that As far as this year, the record store day releases, like people were talking about all kinds of stuff. But so I picked up this one, right? They seem to do one like every year. This is
What the hell is that?
This is the 84. They put out 2 EPs, and this came out. Hey, this is my point. Like no one was talking about it.
Hold on.
Marty's wandering off to the goth shelf.
Uh-oh. It's the Paul Fields and Nephilim again because
Yeah, but yeah, no, some of that early sister stuff is quite good too, Rick. Yeah, and people should talk about that more. Like the
Andrew was still
is Reptile
scoring.
House one of the ones on there?
Let me see. Walk Away, Poison Door, On the Wire. I've not even opened this one yet. That's the thing. Like it's I picked this up.
Okay.
I picked one up last year, along with this one, and I'm always curious about the early material.
Is this the EPs? I got the Reptile House EP and then Sisters of Mercy self-titled. Are these the 2 EPs on that record?
I'm not sure because it doesn't actually tell you.
What are the
just says
tracks on those, Marty? He might
2
be able to
classic
check
EPs
the
from
track list.
'84 is all I get.
The
I'm not as
Kiss,
familiar with.
Kiss, Lights, Valentine, Fix, Burn.
No, they're not. They're not on here.
Alice, Floor Show, Phantom, 1969. This is 1983 Merciful Release. These are both not from 83.
That must be the other EP I got from last year. Those tracks must be on there. That's how much shit. How much shit they put out even before Floodlands. It's crazy.
And Alan, if you like, check out this one. Their debut full length, I believe.
That's the
First
one.
and Last and Always.
Oh yeah,
This
that's a great album too. Yeah.
album rules. So good.
Yeah. Now I'm pretty sure I have all their albums. I'm sure I've missed some EPs and other tracks here and there. But yeah, actually, I used to play First and Last and Always more than Floodland. And I like Vision Thing too. And I know that album was a bit divisive.
I hated
for
it
some
when it
fans.
came out, but I bought it recently after. I'm like, I got to at least hear it, and I do
didn't
enjoy
understand
it.
the hate for it, but yeah, I do remember that.
Tony
Yeah.
James from Sig Sig Sputnik on guitar was a weird. It was a weird choice.
Yeah,
but
it rocks. I think it just rocked out a little bit too much. You couldn't cry to it as easily as you could.
yeah,
the
a
others.
little more rocking.
But but still a cool album. So yeah, cool band.
All
But yeah,
right.
that's a neat one, Rick. I always forget to look at the record store day stuff. If one of the stores has an extra copy of that, I might have to pick it up.
You know, 99% of the stuff, most people were like, you know. And then I showed that Fields and Nephilim, and I'm like, there we go, ding, 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 Marty.
Dude, I went to the. I've got all that shit on CD, but I'm like, fuck. I went to my record store to get the vinyl, hoping they had it. They didn't have it. So, do they still have copies at your record store, local store?
I haven't gone back and checked, but you know, now that I know you're looking out for him, I definitely.
I'm a big Fields fan.
Oh, I know you are. That's the thing.
If they do, hit me up.
Which Fields
All
item
right,
was
we'll
it?
do.
It's got the Burning the Fields EP and Return to Gehenna on it. Is that right? Return to Gehenna, Burning the Fields, and
Okay. I'll check when I'll look for it too when I'm at the
There's
store.
a guy in
tomorrow.
eBay right now,
Black
Burning the
Sabbath box.
Fields. He's got a tape of, and there's a used one at that for like going for like $1,000, like or so on eBay
I've got the CD. I'm good, but still having it on. I've got a bunch of other shit on record. You know, got collector's stuff. God. But yeah, hit me up if either of you guys find it. Let me know. I'll pay. You know, I'm not looking for a gift. I'll pay. I'll pay.
Yeah,
Let me know.
It's the kind of thing that if they got 2 or 3 copies, they might have one left. They always have that box of leftover record store day items. So I'll see what they got.
It's a 2 LP set if memory serves.
Okay.
Rick showed it. I don't look at
LPs,
all at record store day shit because typically there's nothing I give a fuck about.
Well, I thought it was just the one demo, but it's actually 2 LPs. I said one to Jeff. He's like, it was like $40. Like $40 for a fucking demo? I was like, no. You're getting all this other stuff too. Like,
there's other stuff on it.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Marty.
I'm gonna dip.
You get 3 more. You get to pick 3 more out of your stack. So.
All right. I'm gonna dip into Patrick's lane a little bit here. I'm gonna show this Engulfed album, Unearthly Litanies of Despair.
Great album.
God, this album is so good. Holy crap. The riffing on it it's so well written, so perfectly executed. it shines a little light in my heart that there are some modern death metal bands that aren't just trying to imitate immolation or incantation or all these other knuckle dragger bands that it's all good, but it's all just such a two-dimensional sound. This year, the songs are so well written. They're so well written. There's a little bit of a technical influence here and there, but they keep it sick. They keep it kind of old sounding, and they keep the songs very interesting from start to finish. This is on Misako Ununyo Records.
Super heavy.
Super heavy. God,
Yeah.
just crushing. Good record. Simon reviewed it on the channel, and as I was harvesting the clips to put in the review when I edited it, I'm like, yep, I'm buying this because everything I listened to was great. So yeah, thanks, Simon, for covering this and showing me the way. Show me the way. But,
It has Mustafa from Diabolizer and Hyperdontia as well.
really? Okay.
If you haven't checked out Diabolizer, I think you might like that too, actually.
Right. And another one, too, that Simon also turned me on to. I'm going to get two in here since we're almost wrapping it up. Is this Exbrickischen Flicken Colton
Oh, that's so good. I need to pick
Yeah,
that up
it's good.
myself sometime.
with Haxon
Haxon
Seboff.
Yeah.
Yeah, reminds me of the Chasm a bit. There's a dark, twisted death metal style here. You cost me all kinds of money, you fuck. Anyway, yep, this is great too. Another one that'll be on my year-end list for sure. But
That's the one everybody hates to pronounce because it's just
Flecken,
stupid.
yeah.
great band, but it's just like, just check it out. I'll send you a link, but I'm not gonna bother telling you the name of the goddamn band.
It's super dark, good dark death metal shit. It's good.
Yeah, it's great.
The Engulfed, like you mentioned, the connections with the other bands, but for a time it was getting a lot of hype. The last album, there's so much hype.
Yeah.
I eventually got around to getting it at $20 spin. They had it on one of their sales.
Right.
Man, it's just like one of those you're kind of kicking yourself because it's like it's great, and but I've not got around to gotten the new one yet. So, but
It's
thanks for the
good, yeah,
reminder.
it's good. I love the vocals on it, just super brutal and low,
Mm-hmm.
guttural.
All right. Patrick, you are back.
All right, so I threatened I would do this. So it's midnight on the East Coast. The OGs are here in the chat. Like I said, I was talking about in the dugout. I'm not a hip hop head. I don't like a lot of hip hop, but for some reason, the last few weeks I've been getting into old school hip hop. Checking out, I think the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef got me into like checking out older beef, and here I am talking about it on Heavy Metallurgy. So this might be a first, but somebody in the chat is going to back me up on this. So this is Deltron 3030, their only album, came out in the year 2000, and they're like a three-piece hip hop trio. It's science fiction based, so it's based on the year 3030, but like it's kind of crazy listening to it in 2024 because the references that they bring up sound very modern, sound very right now. Yeah, just a really cool lyrical hip hop group. Somebody in the chat has to back me up here. Deltron 3030, yeah. Just killer stuff if you do like hip hop. There you go, Corey. Incredible album. I think the rapper's name is Del the Funky Homo Sapien is the rapper's name on this.
Yep, Andy's got that. Yep.
Just really cool stuff if you do like lyrical hip hop at all. James brings up hieroglyphics as well. Yep, exactly. So I've been spinning that recently. Is that a first on Heavy Metallurgy? Hip hop.
Yep.
I believe it is.
No,
Yeah.
It is.
that's a good pull. I don't know if Jason Skills is still watching, but he's very, very entrenched in that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, so
And
Nate,
it's Mike
you haven't
Seatown.
heard
He's
it.
been on the show a bunch, and he's never
I'm
talked
sure
about it.
Mike Seatown. I'm sure he knows
Yeah.
Deltron.
He's got a great video up now about the beef going
beef.
on.
Yeah. It pulled me back in somehow. I don't even know how.
The fuck, Scott? You're just now showing up?
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
YouTube
Friday-
rejected my
Scott's-
comment. You swear the YouTube rejects the comment.
No, Scott's Friday nights are usually pretty busy.
No, I know.
Otherwise, we would have had him on the show by now.
Yep. All right, Rick.
Yeah, we got to get Scott on one of these episodes sooner or later.
Oh, for sure.
And bring his naked lady pics thumbnails along with it too. But I'm glad you're only 3 hours late. You know what? Why not just pull some? I'll just pull some U.S. black metal. Why not? Why not? This is a band of. It's a one-man thing, based out of Portland, Maine, and I started out with the Osseous Key. Great project, and this is the kind of thing I would send to somebody like Anthony Metal Miners, who's not like a black metal guy, but he likes Immortal. Like this is a demographic of those kind of people. It's like,
well, Immortal's got some crossover. You know, you start getting into At the Heart of Winter, it starts to get a little bit less traditional Norwegian black metal, a little more modern. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, what I mean is like, okay, he will listen to Mork, right? But he'll listen to some of the, I don't know how to phrase it, but like the more riffier, that's kind of more reminiscent of the side where you can kind of interpret towards death metal, in some shape or form. And I think
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
No, man, you got support here.
Oh, it's all good.
You
I've
know,
been showing all sorts of sad bastard shit.
I got a
tonight.
B, C, D side of my collection. You don't see. I can't show a heavy metallurgy. Like,
I mean,
I've
Martin
shown Bruce
showed,
Springsteen on here, so it's like
Yeah.
Martin showed shoegaze. Okay, so
Yeah, I did.
it's all fair.
exactly.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So this is Algol, Alghol. Anybody?
Oh, I
familiar
could have
with it?
told you that. I mean, it's
I get
obvious.
that now.
Okay.
I've
There
heard
you
the
go.
name,
You
yeah.
know, it's plain English.
Yeah, plain right in front of you there.
This
That
is
is
the latest
not
one.
Papyrus.
It came out last year. Night Eternal.
Papyrus in Hell.
I gotta say, man, like I fell in love with this project right from the get-go. What's crazy about this one is, so he wants to do a trilogy. Osseous Key, this will be, I guess, number 2, and he's got a number. He said he already written the number 3, so that's already in the works. So I'm looking forward to that one. Algol, which is hard to kind of see. It looks like one of the Leviathan albums. It kind of has that look to it. I wonder if he used that same artist. But anyway, this guy is obsessed with tiki. A lot of tiki shit. Like he loves the jungle tiki, which is weird for black metal. He must be hanging out with Sammy Hagar quite a lot or something. I can't figure it out. But this is some spooky, very riffy, quite elegant in production, which is impressive for like the way he does his stuff here. He has a very good appreciation for catchiness and just hooks, and that's kind of what drew me into this when I got into the Osseous Key. This one, Night Eternal, it's even better. Like it's just so that's why I'm anticipating his next release. And so Algol, again, Portland, Maine. If you guys have not got it, and this is actually readily available, believe it or not. If you like that style of catchy black metal, but the raw stuff is not, it's not always your bag. You also, there's a little more on the more, if you're coming from a death metal side and you're trying to transition to black metal, this is a nice in between kind of thing. Definitely a very, very interesting listen. I got the fancy one with the old card. A lot of us hate it, but he did something right. The damn art does not match the jewel case art. See, there you go. That's how you do it. You don't use the same art on the jewel case.
No, so yeah.
You know, and he loves tiki. I don't know. He just decided to incorporate it into his stuff. There's a bit of the jungle element in here. One of the songs is called "Out from the Jungle." So yeah, there you go. There shows his love. Strange, unusual, but it's different. So if you're looking for something that's a little more in the vein of what you call accessible but not commercial, catchy, it's got everything I like. It ticks all the fucking check boxes. This guy, he knows what he's doing. You can't
some
quit. You can't quit yet, Jurgen.
You got some catching up to do, Rick.
I still got wine in here. You can't finish before me.
All right.
There you go. Algol. ALGHOL. Bam.
Later, Jurgen.
Cheers, Jurgen. Thanks for Jurgen's been trying to find an answer to our Exciter quandary and wasn't successful, but appreciate the effort, Jurgen.
All right, Alan.
All right, next to last for me, revisiting an old favorite recently, just hadn't played it in forever. Virgin Steel's Invictus album. For me, this is the pinnacle of Virgin Steel, and it's a band I like a lot. I enjoy a lot of their albums, not all of them. There are some bumps along the way here and there, but this album basically out Manowar's Manowar is the easiest way to describe
100%. Agreed.
Yeah, to someone unfamiliar, this does everything Manowar does well, but does it better, and it comes across as much less cheesy than Manowar often does. I'm okay with Manowar's cheese most of the time, but this on this one, Virgin Steel, it sounds much more sincere, much more authentic. It has all those big grandiose themes to it, but just in a really over the top operatic way that really only Daniel DeFay can put together and deliver. It's a fantastic listen. I used to play this all the time. It was one of those CDs that lived in my truck for years. I never took it out because it was great music to get on the interstate and drive to when I had longer trips. And yeah, it still holds up incredibly well. It is a relatively long album. If we're going to nitpick and try to point out something that's not perfect, it is quite long. I don't really know what I would take off of it. If I sat and really picked it apart, I could probably find something here or there that could have been shuffled to a single or a B-side rarity thing. But man, if you like that idea of the big triumphant power metal that isn't goofy, that plays into those kind of Hellenic themes with all the Greek Roman kind of overtones, but at the same time, this one, and I think something that really makes this stand out in Virgin Steel's catalog, it's one of the times where DeFay sounds a bit more aggressive and angry. Also, it's not all the time. He's not going full aggro or anything. But sometimes, especially with his voice having this very high falsetto and classically trained, sometimes Virgin Steel's music can be a bit airy. On this one, though, there is some grit to some of his vocals. He gets down into his lower registers some, and he sounds genuinely pissed off when he's saying that he's going to cut off your head, and end your the line of your kin. You kind of feel like, okay, man, it's all right. I don't know what I did to piss you off, but I'm sorry. Back away slowly here. So yeah, it's a great performance by him, and a highlight in their catalog for sure. So Virgin Steel's Invictus doesn't get mentioned as much as some of their other albums, but it is just an incredible listen.
If I can translate, Alan, these New York heavy metal bands are not afraid of the loincloth, and they will go there. There
was definitely a thing there, wasn't there, with Virgin Steel and Manowar? Yep. Yeah, I'm sure if I rack my brain, there's probably a couple of others too. But they were part of that very early New York metal scene that doesn't get a lot of recognition. When you say early U.S. metal, everybody wants to think L.A., but you had Riot, The Rods, Virgin Steel, Manowar. There's that pre-Manowar where Eric Adams was in the band for like a minute.
Dictators. There's Dictators.
No. Black something. Black Symphony. Black. It's on my shelf. They never got past the demo stage, but it was just another band on that scene with some. Joey Belladonna was actually, I think, tried out for the band or was in the band for like a hot minute at the end of their career before he joined Anthrax even. So they had a lot of those guys in and out of this project.
There's a new Masters of the Universe movie announced, and they got a new guy acting on it. It won't be Dolph Lundgren this time, obviously. But these kind of albums need to be on that soundtrack. So I'll be on that line picketing. And Alan, if you want to join me, we can get Virgin
Hey,
Steel.
if they're gonna pass over summoning on a Lord of the Rings soundtrack, then fuck Man of War for a Master of the Universe.
Yeah, we probably don't have. We're not going to be successful, but that doesn't mean we should not try, Rick.
It's just
Who's,
it just feels
Who's
right.
writing the Masters of the Universe? Who's writing it?
Queen.
I think the guy that did the Bumblebee Transformers movie. It's gonna be that kind of big dumb fun CGI. I know.
That does not sound good already.
Yeah. If they bring back Frank Langella, I'd be happy.
What's the over under that it's better or worse than the late 80s Masters of the Universe movie?
Well, it's one of the movies where the only way it works is it's campy. If it's not campy, it won't work. It has to be campy.
Right.
In my imagination.
Well, they got CGI on their side now, so maybe it'll be exceptional. Who knows? Who knows? All right. We got 2 more to go. I'm going to try to cram in a couple here.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go look up that other New York band I can't think of.
Another 2 more CDs I got used in the Vertigo Records used bin. Yendod, Norwegian black metal band, Kriegsdogger, and a self-titled album. It's a great Norwegian black metal band. I bought one a long time ago when it came out. It's got a guy walking in the woods with blood all over his hands. Don't remember the name of that. And since then, the last couple months, I've bought three. I'm drunk. 3 of these albums in the used bin at Vertigo Records. It's really, especially this one. This one's really good. It's a 2-piece band. They're really solid, dissonant yet melodic Norwegian black metal. New album promo is outstanding. Did we get the promo for that, Simon? Because if so, I missed it. I've not been looking at promos lately. I've been preoccupied. Anyway, solid Norwegian black metal. I'm going to throw this in here too. Completely separate. I showed this on Wednesday night. Exterminate by Angel Corpse. The song Into the Storm of Steel popped up on my Spotify, and it reminded me how great this band is and was, and I've been spinning this record all week. It's so fun, so crushing, so good. Great band. All right, Patrick.
All right, I'm gonna get my street cred back. Okay, so this is Mutilatred out of Ohio. This is called Dissecting the Future. They were a brutal death metal band. I'm very picky about brutal death metal. For some reason, this band just hits the spot for me. Of course, just super dense, super heavy, a little bit of Undergang vibe as well. They have a new album from 2022 that's also pretty good. But yeah, just extremely heavy. Life After Death just reissued these cassettes that actually were kind of hard to find for some reason. But yeah, just super brutal death metal out of Ohio. I heard they're really good live. Yeah, that's what I've been spinning this week.
Can you show the record again? Because I missed it. I was typing.
Mutilature, Dissecting the Future.
Oh, okay.
Your Future, Dissecting Your Future. Yeah,
Yep.
it's your debut album. Just heavy stuff.
Right on. All right, Rick.
All right.
Last one, Rick. What you want to wrap up on?
Let's see. I should pull out a few, but this one actually arrived not that long ago. This is a band I got into. They're from Italy, and I think they Burner was their last one, which is stupidly hard to find. So I only have their debut. So it's called Stare at Nothing. Came out late last month, and so I gotta set the right precedent for this. Any Windhand fans, if you're a fan of Windhand and you like that style of that kind of fuzzy, thick doom, female fronted, they have not put out an album since 2018. We're still waiting. But in the meantime, this will definitely satisfy for anybody who's still waiting. Haunted, Stare at Nothing. This right here, it's kind of like very, very reminiscent of something like a Wind Hand. Very thick, very fuzzy, very catchy. Again, female fronted vocals, and I was very disappointed looking at this cover. I'm looking at this, I'm like, is this Bela Lugosi's dead? Like, I do not get Wind Hand from this cover. This looks like some sad boy goth kind of stuff. So it was definitely misdirected of what I was expecting from this band, especially after such a long hiatus.
It looks like a Bauhaus record, kind of.
It
does.
Oh, Bauhaus. Like, if I just got, have I hate this at Bauhaus? This is the latest Bauhaus. Wait, aren't Bauhaus still around?
They are.
Well, here it is.
Yep, I would not question it if you had done that.
But it's not. And so I don't know what the thought process was behind it. But this is a goddamn good record. It's the Wind Hand record that never was. You know, that so if you impatiently wait, when Wind Hand reissued their first record, I wanted a new record. Here we are. This is what you're going to get. Pick up Haunted, readily available. The last one, not so much, but this one is. Stare at Nothing. My favorite track is probably the first one, a side B. Pots Heard. There's a video for it.
Pot turd.
Pots Herds. I'll accept Pots Herds. That's the wine speaking. But you know, it's a bit of that droning, fuzzy stuff, and you kind of know what you're getting. But there's some bands that do that really, really well, and that's why I think Wind Hand's one of those bands that get compared. Like, okay, so and so band sounds like this, and this, and Wind Hand's usually listed as that category. Or Electric Wizard is one of them too. And I think this is a band from the other side of the world, kind of aping on that sound, and they do a hell of a good job. So really quick, I'll just pull up the inner sleeve, which has just a quick picture, because I love the way they named their what do you call their instruments. So we got Christina Chimeri Keening, right, which is vocals. Kim Crowley, awesome name, guitars, and then we got Lucas Strano's battery. In Spanish, the way you say drums is bateria, which sounds like battery, which is kind of the same as battery. That's why they say it the way they do. And then we got Frank Tudisco as low, obviously the bass. So I like how they're trying all this different kind of stuff, but nobody's talking about this. I love this release. I love their last one. This is a gigantic improvement from their previous material. I hate the cover, but the music, it's actually pretty good. Stare at Nothing. Ripple put this out, by the way. So if you know Ripple, you know what they're about. You know the kind of stuff they put out. Kind of like Psych Sounds. A lot of that stoner, fuzzy kind of material. But you know, you're talking to a guy who did a 420 stream, so it's no secret. I pull this out, right? But if I were to recommend something from there, I couldn't show this on that stream because it wasn't out yet. But here we are, it finally arrived, and I fucking love it. I hate the cover, but I love the music.
Right on. Alan, last round.
Last round. Well, we'll end on a classic that has a slight issue with it. So a bit funny, but funny like sad. Overkill, taken over. Been working my way through a lot of the Overkill catalog. It's no secret that we are going to be doing an Overkill deep dive with Darcy. That's going to happen probably in July. It's looking like June's pretty full, and Darcy's a busy guy, but it's on the horizon. So I'm trying to get a good early start to digest.
What the hell pressing is that?
What's that?
What the hell pressing is that?
We'll get to that in a second.
It looks like a fucking. Anyway, go ahead.
We'll get to that. That's the sad part. But anyway, so yeah, just hadn't played this particular album in a long time, working through the catalog. So yep, gotta brush up on it. So yeah, it's considered one of the classics, of course. There's a couple of Overkill albums I do like better than this one from the early days. That's not a knock against this album. I just prefer the self-titled and Years of Decay ahead of Taking Over. So it's not going to be in the top 2 of my rankings, but still, yeah, it's of course quite good. The band still sounds very young, angry, hungry, everything you want right there around 87, and so for your thrash metal albums, it's not getting into any kind of goofy material. It's not getting too safe or anything yet. It still feels kind of dangerous, and you get that right away with like Deny the Cross as your opening track. One nitpick I've always had with this album, and playing it again, it came back like yep, that I didn't imagine that. It does happen. You have the 2 songs later in side A with Use Your Head and Fatal If Swallowed. Both are fine songs individually. It's always felt weird to me that they have these 2 songs back to back, kind of in the middle of the album, with the overt sexual innuendo. It's like, yes, we get
the groupie songs, yeah.
The groupie songs, yes. And it's kind of like one groupie song per album, I think, is enough for most bands. 2 on the same album seems a bit much, and having them back to back always felt kind of wrong in the track listing. If you were going to have to put one on side A and then bury the other in the middle of side B somewhere, it always feels like the album just kind of, again, it's not that the songs are bad musically, they're solid, but it's this weird thing that you go from like Deny the Cross and Wrecking Crew and Fear His Name, and then it's just like, and sluts. And then more sluts. And then, oh yeah, Power Surge. And it's kind of like, you just kind of took 8 or 9 minutes.
You're not describing Steel Panther? Okay.
You just took 8 or 9 minutes there just to do kind of, the 13-year-old teenage boy, he kind of.
And they did it again on Under the Influence. There was some of that shit on there too.
There is. Yep. So yeah, that's always been my one gripe with the album. But anyway, yeah, still a great album. Now about that CD pressing, this has to be the shittiest CD not made by Earache in the history of CDs. So for some dumb reason, they put that, little kind of silverish border around the cover art on the front. Not necessary. The color, is not great. No. It's very darkly printed. On the back, your graphics are this.
It's an Amazon, one of those. It's the same guy that fucked me with the Ulysses Siren. It's an Amazon CDR.
And it's funny because I bought this in a store.
It's Helvetica condensed, isn't it?
The disc.
Yep.
That's what it is. This.
Lazy. Helvetica. It's just lazy.
The insert, they put a clear plastic CD case and put nothing behind it.
Why did you buy that?
Is this? I wanted a CD copy, and you couldn't. It was they had it cellophaned up so you couldn't see. And the inside of the book is this.
God,
what a shitty CD.
Yeah,
but
welcome to my world. Yeah,
the music is great. Yeah, again with the cover. That little frame around the cover on the front says like, that's probably not going to have a whole lot of bonus material inside. It has no material inside. But nevertheless, yeah, a cool early Overkill album that was fun to dust off and spin.
Where did you buy it from? Wade is asking.
Some indie store, just a mom and pop store someplace. It wasn't online. It wasn't in a chain. I don't even remember the name of the place off the top of my head. So, yeah, womp womp. But
womp.
I'll probably upgrade that at some point.
Yeah.
But not too worried about it.
You
really.
could go worse. Amazon print on demand CD. Those are probably the worst thing ever.
Yeah. That ain't cool.
And they're considered legit. They're considered legit pressings. They're on Discogs as legit pressings. Yep.
Yeah, definitely stinks.
Bullshit.
But anyway, good. I'll end on that very funny, sad kind of CD pressing of a really good album. And Marty gets to wrap it up and bring it on home tonight.
All right, I got 2 more to show. I'll do it quickly. Recently released a couple weekends ago. My buddy Noah's label, Northern Spire Productions. He's in Drawder, Lanzerath, Wood Cult. There's more. I don't know. It's a lot. But anyway, the Lanzerath Shroud of Despondency split CD is out. And it's great. It's great. Shroud of Despondency offers, I think, 2 tracks. Crushing. Very Borknagar and Emperor-esque black metal from Wisconsin. Used to be in Michigan. The first album Binary never put out was a Shroud of Despondency CD. Lanzerath album is like a long, lengthy track, 20-some minutes long. It's got TJ from Glorious Dead doing a little bit of vocal, a line or two on there, and a whole bunch of other guys here from the area screaming on it. The Lanzerath stuff keeps getting better and better and better. It started off as a drunken side project. It's gotten really good.
I love his
Black Metal.
his Auralisk stuff too.
Oh, the Orlish shit's really good too. Yeah. He's like one of those guys that during the pandemic just focused on playing guitar, and he went from being really not good to really good. It's amazing. Yeah. He's one of those guys that just was good. He just focused on, he's becoming better and better and better.
I've been telling people that's one of the best kept secrets coming out of Michigan. Like this guy in of itself. I mean, everybody wants to talk about Austin and Panopticon, and I get it, but Noah's he's another set of talent there that the people are not paying enough attention to.
He's a savant. He's a total savant. Exactly. And there's TJ himself. You say his name 3 times and he shows up like Beetlejuice. There he is. But yeah, this is great. A great split. It's a lengthy split. It's like 40 minutes long. I have copies. I haven't put them up on the site yet, but you can get them through Northern Spire Productions. Go support this guy. He's putting out tons of killer music. It's all his own music, but he isn't getting the love yet. It takes a minute to build a label. And I'm ending with an album I'm going to be reviewing eventually here. The new Throne of Thorns album, the only Throne of Thorns album, Converging Parallel Worlds. These guys are from Belgium. And I've said it before, there's cheesy power metal and there's power metal from guys that come from more of a traditional metal background, take it very seriously. This is that. Very serious power metal record. It's got a lot of prog influence on it, but it's not over the top. It's really well done. The songs on here, especially the song Atomic Retribution, holy crap. What a great song. Stormmaker, Underworld. The singer is not like a screaming, screeching, operatic guy. He's very mid-range. He's just a very soulful singer. Great album. And again, this is on my year-end list. In fact, we got the promo of it. Had to buy it. It's so good. And you look at it, it looks like what it sounds like. It just has that proggy power metal look to it.
I'll be honest. If I saw it in a record store, I'd be like, that screams Marty VCLT. Like,
you would have nailed it. You could have seen my boner from space if you sent this to me. But yep. Great album. I'm going to be reviewing it. I'm late, of course, really late, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. But so there it is. Anybody have anything else before we cut and run?
Nope.
I could probably show a thing or two if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
I got something a little obscure. It's currently on Bandcamp. It's a band, very short-lived, and this is an example of like numerous bands, and they're out of Pennsylvania. And it's kind of like we got together, we had high sights, it never quite panned out. So Fatal Maim, One Beyond the Grave. I mean, you look at that cover, you're like, okay, I think I know what this might sound like. It's classic thrash, very in the 80s vein. This particular thing dropped in 91, and I think it was cassette only at the time. And the production's quite a mixed bag because I don't think they recorded it all one session. It's all, you can only record as money and studio time allows. And you can totally tell on this thing. But as far as for what it is, it's the musicianship. Had they had the proper money and proper studio time, these guys could have been up there with a lot of these other bands at the time who were consistent and putting on material in the I guess mid to late 80s, but never happened. So then we get I forget, Heaven and Hell Records put this one out. This easily could have been like one of those dive bomb things and whatnot. And so I thought it was worth showing just because again, like I said, it's available on Bandcamp. But it's pretty cool. Also, here's the main reason why I wanted to show this. Look at that awesome ass Messiah Markland hairdo on this guy.
It's a hair helmet.
It's it's just like, if Messiah was in a thrash band, he could probably look like this guy. But it's there. The production's a bit rough, and again, I think it has a lot to do with the budget, not so much the talent side of it. I think these guys are pretty talented. There's some pretty catchy riffs. There's some really good songwriting going on here. These guys, you can tell they honed on the material years and years and a lot of practice to get to this kind of result that they were at. So this was released as a CDR back in 2010, and then Heaven and Hell took over in I think it was last year. So yeah, like late last year. This is a pretty recent reissue. So I got it back in January, I think. Like, nobody's talking about bands like this who were kind of lost in that ether. Fatal Maim, and Victim, which is like I think it's the last. Yeah, no shit. The last few tracks are just like demos, so don't pay attention to those. Rescue. It's kind of a ballady kind of track, but it's done really, really well. This could have been easily like a radio hit. If you listen to it, you know what I mean. Very catchy. You can play it with your girlfriend, and whatever results after that, it's not my business. But good stuff. You like classic 80s heavy metal. This is a band overlooked, and it's one of those could have been kind of things. So good stuff. Like I said, it's readily available. Another one here is from Philadelphia, horror, pain, gore, death. Right here, it's a band out of Texas. It's called Nethermost Noetic. You look at that, you're like, what the hell is that? And this is very rooted in that. I gotta say, so it's got harsh vocals, but imagine Discouraged Ones and Last Fair Deal Gone Down, a Catatonia era, but with harsh vocals, and you kind of get a bit of this. If you like that sad boy stuff, but a bit of that kind of Cure, but with monotonous riffing, but in that kind of very somber mood, kind of metal rock. Nethermost is really, really good stuff. And this is the one, I think this is the only release I own by them. And they even get folky. For a US band, it sounds very European. There are moments it sounds like classic era Amorphous with a little bit of Catatonia along with that. Nethermost. So if that's your bag, highly, highly recommended. Again, it's because of the labels put under. I think it would get very overlooked for what it is.
Rick Wade wanted to know what the name of that one was again.
Nethermost.
Oh, Nethermost. And the album's called Noetic. Noetic. And I'll show one more. And this came out back in March, and I thought they just needed a mention. I actually planned to review it, but I never got around to it due to some personal issues. But Gray Skies Fallen out of New York, molded by Broken Hands. So this is their latest one, and this came out March of 2024. It is exactly the 25th year from their first album. It came out 99 of March, and they wanted to put it out exactly at their anniversary of 25 years. Great band. They're consistent. They've been putting out material pretty regularly, and they don't get nearly as much attention as the My Dying Brides, the Catatonia, and those guys. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're from the US, and they're not looked at in the same kind of vein as those kind of guys. But I think the quality of output that they do is right up there with Paradise Lost and a lot of those guys. They're a really good band. This one has a bonus track, I think, seven. So put out by Profound Lore. Patrick, I know you mentioned Profound Lore quite a bit. I know you're a big fan of a lot of their releases, and this is another one that I think that has a very mixed bag of styles. They do the harsh, they do the cleans, they do the somber stuff, they do the heavy, and they also do the kind of if you like Warning, that Patrick Walker kind of very emotive side. It doesn't sound like Patrick Walker, but he's able to bring out that kind of semblance of emotions, like the way Patrick Walker does, and those kind of moments with this kind of sound. And this band is just consistent, just really good quality. Again, this is their latest one. I comes very highly recommend that first riff, the very opening riff when you first hit play, very reminiscent of that early Peaceville 3 sound. It will take you right back to that time period. Like, it will be so familiar. And these guys do it very awesomely. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I'll leave it with that.
All right. Well, it was a fun time. We went through a
Yeah.
lot of records tonight. Rick, Patrick, great to have you.
Thanks so much for joining us. Lots of cool stuff there that, unfamiliar to me. Some of it unfamiliar to Marty, but everyone's got some stuff they can check out this weekend if they want to, for sure.
You're muted, Patrick.
Sorry.
What do you have coming up on Heavy Therapy?
Yeah, so I always do 2 or 3 videos a month, collection updates, first impressions, reviews. For July, I'll have my top albums of the year so far and top non-LPs of the year so far. And then my big project towards the end of the year will be probably top 30 death metal albums of the decade so far.
Of the
I'm kinda having
decade?
fun.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm kind of having fun putting that together. So
We are kind of halfway through the 2020s, so yeah,
exactly.
those
So yeah,
those first 5-year lists are probably about due. That's a good point,
yeah,
Patrick.
it's gonna be fun. So
What I like about Patrick's reviews too is he's very real and passionate when he talks about some of this stuff. You can tell he's really into the music. When I met him at the show, I have to admit, Jeff and I were kind of farting around in the back there and whatever. Patrick was seriously dedicated, really checking out a lot of these bands.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, come on back, hang out. He's like, no, I'm here for the show, dude. I'm like, he's really in really all about the music, and I love how genuine he is
thanks, Rick.
in what he does.
All right. Rick, what you got coming up over at the Dreadful Minutes?
I wish I was as good and steady as someone like a Melanie and like you guys. It's kind of like I do videos, and after doing this for a little while, you kind of get to discover a little bit about why you do what you do, and what sets you off, and what inspires you to continue making these videos. And sometimes your personal life takes over. It makes it hard to be on a consistent basis. But at the same time, I think that when you guys do your Friday nights and your Wednesday, and Alan, you put up your stuff on Tuesdays, it helps remind me why I got into this in the first place. I have such a love and passion for this community, and just this music. It's just it keeps me from falling into. I try to imagine what it would be like without you guys. Everybody in the comments, I love seeing all you guys just chiming in, and I also apologize for my stupidity when I come in there with my $2 comment.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
At the same time, so sometimes I get a good one in there, and I will admit it. It's fucking great, and I will not accept that wasn't a good joke. But every now and then, it's a really bad joke. But nevertheless, I think we're all into what we're about. We all love this underground kind of stuff. My friend Melissa chimed in. She's not into this kind of stuff like the way we are. She's into the Limp Bizkit. She's into the Cure. But at the same time, I realized a lot of us love this stuff too. We're not all about just the Uber cults and this kind of. We can also get into.
I can't get into Limp Bizkit.
Okay, maybe not
The Cure is fantastic, though.
Oh, the Cure.
Maybe
The
not
Cure. Yeah, yeah.
totally. But we can get to the Cure. We can get into Views on Nephilim. We can get into Sisters of Mercy, right? I think that And the reason I say this is because what connects us too is the reality of the world sucks, especially with the state of the way things are. Maybe a little bit for the Nuki. There's a girl around the corner. I will find out. But at the same time, I guess that's a bit of a monologue. I didn't expecting this, but I thought I'd just take this opportunity, say, you guys are great. I'm glad this thing exists. Heavy Metallurgy and Marty and Alan and everybody else who comes on board. It's just the reason. It's a constant reminder why we love this kind of music, and this is an outlet for something that may not always be present in our own real world. We go to the store, we do stuff. We don't run to a lot of fellow metalheads like we do, but here, this is a nice place we can come in. We can talk about stuff, and we accept that we love this stuff. We might not always agree on everything that we like, but we all love the underground. We all love the obscure as much as the mainstream. We're like-minded, we're open-minded, and I've always been that way. At the same time, and I think this is why I connect with you all. And when I put out these videos, I never anticipated being a big channel. That was never my goal. My goal was to connect with people first and foremost. Above all, I don't look at numbers. I don't look at subscribers. But I think that there's an element of that where paying attention to the subscribers and growth helps for exposure. But there are a lot of us individuals who kind of just ride on that momentum and influence, like Patrick and I. We're not big channels.
Right.
But we love what we do. We love this scene. We love this music. We love the people in it. And this is why we do what we do. And Heavy Metallurgy, I think, are one of the best channels doing this thing right now.
Oh, now come on.
Well, thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Rick.
If the wine wasn't on, I would still say this. Maybe differently, but in a different kind of way. But it's definitely a genuine thing. So I love all you guys.
We love you too, brother. And it's the cool thing we like about doing this is bringing other channels on here to try to bolster everybody up as well. If we can help turn some people on to Dreadful Minutes, to Heavy Therapy, to whoever comes on here, that's the goal, and
well, I just turn people on, period. But if we can turn them on to channels, that's just extra bonus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the show works because we, have great guests and we have great folks in the chat. I mean, if it was just Marty and I talking and 12 trolls in the chat, that wouldn't be much fun for anybody.
We would have depleted our collections by now. It's good to bring new people and ideas in.
Sadly, I will still listen to you guys.
You need to shoot
have 12
higher.
Trolls and Rick in the chat, which I guess makes it 13 trolls.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
One funny troll and other
you
shitty
don't want
ones.
to know all the dad jokes I have chambered up right now. My kid hates me right now because of it.
Yep.
Good deal. But yes, thanks again, guys, for coming on. Patrick, really great to meet you and have you
thanks
on
for having
first
me.
time. I hope we have
This
you
was
back
awesome.
again in the near future. You showed a lot of cool stuff and some that I definitely want to check out in the near future.
Sounds great.
And Rick, absolutely the same. Rick's always, master of the obscure stuff that everybody wants to check out as soon as the show is.
I gotta say, I love this arrangement where it's like it's a bit of a slow week. You guys had like these, what do you call it, band specific streams going on the past few weeks. You did the Keep a Reap thing, which was a lot of fun.
That was fun.
I think I wasn't live for that one that week. Damn it, because I watch these streams and like I want to insert joke, but I can't because the stream already happened. Damn it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the playlists, everybody go to the Iron Maiden video we did last week, Friday, with Dwayne Lazarus. And the links to the Spotify playlists are in the description. So that's another fun thing about this. Or you can actually listen to what we picked. But anyway, everybody, it's late. Patrick, Rick, don't hang up. We'll chat for a second. And everybody in the chat, you all rule. Keep the metal flowing. Alan, go check out Heavy Metallurgy. Go check out Let's Talk Metal, Heavy Therapy, Dreadful Minutes.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Good night.